4:45 Central Time for that rotation that was eventually in Fayette County along I-57, and that's now crossed over into the northern part of Clay County. So this warning does not include Xenia or Flora or Clay City, Illinois. This looks to stay just to the north of Louisville, moving over toward Bible Grove, and so that storm is more moving due to the east. But if you're in the Bogota area there in southwestern Jasper County, you've just had one storm come through. But don't let your guard down. You've got more very heavy rain, lightning, thunder, and some gusty wind, and potentially more rotation pushing in your direction. Kevin?
All right, Everett, I just got a report from the state police over in Illinois. And the Cumberland County deputy is advising that a semi has flipped over in the construction zone on I-57 near Neoga. So there's construction going on along I-57 near Neoga, and there is a semi that is flipped over there, and so traffic is snarled. Now, take a look at the Storm Team 10 storm tracker, because I was talking about some heavy rainfall, and just as I finished talking to you about that, flash flood warnings were issued for the areas you've seen outlined in green there over in Illinois because of the heavy rain. And so heavy rain will continue to be a component of these storms, as a flash flood warning now has been issued for the areas you see outlined in green there on the Storm Team 10 storm tracker. Everett?
And I'm looking still with our chat room with the National Weather Service, and over in Indiana, if you're watching us in Indiana, obviously it's much quieter right now, but don't let your guard down, because the National Weather Service is analyzing the setup that we have in place, and they've maintained that the environment downstream of these warnings remains favorable, that these storms could continue to rotate. So we've got the tornado watch in place for areas from Vigo, Sullivan, and Knox County off to the west, but they will be monitoring this closely, as that watch could get expanded if these storms maintain their intensity, and right now we're still seeing that. So they're going to be watching that storm closely as it moves out of the Newton area. Eventually, that's going to be headed toward Sullivan County, so we'll have to watch that closely. And any other storms that manage to form down here to the south, we will need to pay close attention to, because with that northeasterly motion, there's not much activity here, but obviously we're going to be focused on what's here. What's to our southwest will be lifting northeast and could impact places like Vincennes and Washington. So while it's quiet now and we're interrupting your regular programming, we're all still have the threat for these storms as they move into the area. So Kevin was talking about that flipped semi near Neoga. So that would be in the construction zone around Interstate 57. So that's where this thunderstorm has already passed through, and this rotation is now just to the northeast of Toledo. So if you're in Toledo or Greenup, the rotation now is north of you, but you're still seeing some very heavy rain with this storm. And if you're in Charleston, again, there's a new tornado warning for Coles County in that area, but this rotation should stay south of the city of Charleston, which I'm sure very fortunate for that, since they've already had their share of tornadic activity within the last week. But there's going to be that rotation. This is radar indicated rotation. No confirmed reports that a tornado is on the ground in Cumberland County, but this is where it would be if a tornado is going to form. It's going to be in the Bradbury area, just to the south of Janesville, and just to the southeast of Lerna and Coles County. So we're in a rural part of the Wabash Valley again, but this is going to be lifting toward the Cumberland County line, over toward the Hutton area. And particularly in Clark County, you need to be paying attention in areas north of Casey, Oilfield and Westfield, right along Illinois Highway 49. That's where that rotation is going to be headed. And then looking even farther downstream for this, if we see this rotation continue over, if you're along the Clarksville Road, around Mill Creek Park or Lake, if you know anyone that's been out there, obviously it's Father's Day weekend. A lot of people may be doing some camping or things like that. You've got rain already spreading into the area, but the strongest part of the storm is off to the west. You may want to let them know that they've got this potentially rocky weather headed their way. And if you're in Paris, also pay attention to this storm, as if for that northeasterly track that could eventually lift more into Edgar County. So here's an updated look at our tornado warnings. It looks like another tornado warning came out in Clay County and Effingham County. This one until 4:45. So there's still a couple areas of rotation. Let me look in that and see if that clears it out. But they're both in effect until 4:45. This is going to be for areas just to the south of Dietrich. So unfortunately, these storms are going to be headed right back in areas where we saw the rotation. And there it is, right here along Route 45. Just to the west of Bible Grove is where we're seeing this rotation. So we've got a tornado warning in place until 4:45 for southern Effingham County, from Dietrich down to Bible Grove, as that moves off to the east. So again, another threat coming in to the western part of the News 10 viewing area as we watch this complex of storms come through. I'm going to zoom that out, and you can see all those areas of rotation. Let's go back to Jasper County, actually. As I zoom in there, we've got some strong indications of rotation there on radar as that tornado-warned storm moves right over the Newton area. So you can see those red and greens colliding right around town. So if you're in Newton, hopefully you are seeking shelter, as a tornado may be developing there if it's not already on the ground, and that will be sliding over toward Highway 33, and some strong wind still indicated there with that signature to the northwest of St. Marie. And I say that, and they have updated that warning again. So let me get that new information.
Okay, you get that, Everett, and let me talk about what we're thinking about for those of us watching here in Indiana. You mentioned this earlier, but I just saw some information out of the forecast office in Indianapolis. So take a look at Max 2, and I'll show you a couple of storms that the Weather Service in Indianapolis has their eye on. First of all, there's this area here where we find ourselves with, well, at least the possibility, of some heavy rain coming down, and also this storm that you see right here, see? And so it's this one that I think is going to cause us to have at least the possibility of some of this moving off to the east, northeast. And so these two areas here, these boxed in areas here, which are tornado warnings, because of the progression of these storms and the way these storms have been behaving, the Weather Service in Indianapolis is saying we're keeping a really close watch on this, because we're keeping an eye on the possibility of one of these moving toward Terre Haute, or at least Vigo County, and the other moving toward Indianapolis, or toward Sullivan County and Sullivan. And so as these move off to the east, northeast at about 35 to 40 miles an hour, they could be migrating here into Indiana. Everett.
Okay, so we've got the latest information. They're going with a radar-confirmed tornado in the Newton area. So I was talking about how strong that rotation was in Newton. We've got that rotation right here, and I was talking about earlier our debris detector, and when you look at these colors, the dark reds indicate usual precipitation, rain or hail sometimes, but these brighter colors indicate something may be up in the atmosphere that is not precipitation. That could be crops, vegetation, trees, or potentially debris from a tornado. So that is why they have issued a radar-confirmed tornado warning again in the Newton area. So if you are in eastern Jasper County, please seek shelter now. A tornado is likely on the ground based on radar to the east of Newton, and this is going to be near Willow Hill and Hunt City. So that's the update there within that warning. At 4:12 Central Time, a confirmed tornado is located over Newton, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. So let's put an updated track on this. Again, this is areas from Newton off to the east. This is where you need to be concerned with this storm as it slides through Willow Hill, 427, eventually over into Dogwood, north of Oblong, around 440. So there may be a tornado on the ground based on radar. We're seeing those indications that there's something going on with this thunderstorm. There may not be a spotter confirmation with this, but it's going to be more difficult because this thunderstorm has a lot of rain coming out ahead of it. So it's raining heavily out ahead. This thunderstorm, this tornado, could be wrapped in rain. So don't wait to see it before you take shelter. It may already be on the ground and it's within a shield of rain. That's a similar story to what we saw in Charleston last week, where it gets wrapped up in that rain and you're not going to be able to know it's a tornado in there until the wind really starts picking up. So if you are in areas eastern Jasper County, from Newton along Highway 33 over to Oblong, please seek shelter now. Lowest, most interior room. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Stay away from windows. And then once you get to the basement and you really hear, if you hear the wind really picking up, try to get under something sturdy and protect yourself from flying debris, as that will be the most dangerous part of a tornado as it comes through, is what it could be blowing around as it moves through the area. So let me look at that velocity again. Luckily, the signature's gone down slightly. It's not as pronounced, but still between Newton and Willow Hills where we're seeing our red and greens interact together there. So Hunt City, Willow Hill, this is moving in your direction shortly. Please take your tornado precautions at this time. As we flip this back over to what we call our debris detector, we're still seeing those colors there. And this could be non-precipitation, so this could be what this tornado has picked up if one's on the ground, and that is an indication that there is a tornado occurring with this storm. So that's why the National Weather Service has kind of re-elevated that warning as it moves into eastern Jasper County. So let me back this back up and kind of put the wide picture on. Obviously, that's our greatest concern right now in eastern Jasper County, but we're still watching our tornado-warned storm in northern Cumberland and southern Coles County. That's just now crossing over into Coles County. And then we've still got an area of rotation to our southwest near Bible Grove, and that's going to be pushing right back into Jasper County. So unfortunately, Jasper County is kind of our epicenter for tornadic thunderstorms at this time. And that's where we have our warnings until 4:45 for Clay and Effingham County. So we've got a warning until 4:30 for Jasper County. We will see what the National Weather Service does downstream of this warning. It's still lifting a little bit to the northeast, so if you're in Oblong, pay close attention to this. If you're up in Annapolis, the Porterville area, pay attention. This thunderstorm is eventually going to be headed in your direction. And then if you're in Clark County, we still have those thunderstorms just now getting ready to approach Clark County, going to impact the Westfield and Oilfield areas first. Kevin?
All right, Everett, you mentioned heavy rainfall, and because of the heavy rainfall, sometimes a funnel cloud or a tornado might be obscured because you just can't see it. So let's take a look here at the rainfall estimates, the rainfall rate estimates, according to the Storm Team 10 Storm Tracker. And that puts us in Cumberland County a rate of more than 3 inches per hour, almost 3.5 inches of rain per hour. And down in Jasper County, around Newton, just to the east of Newton, we have rainfall coming down at 2.95 inches per hour. And so because of that, it's no wonder that we have flash flood warnings in effect for many areas in the Illinois viewing area. And those probably will be expanded as we get over here into Indiana. So heavy rain is part of this storm. So is some small hail, although we haven't had a whole lot of reports of small hail, but we certainly have had some reports of tornadoes on the ground over in Illinois within the News 10 viewing area. Everett.
Okay, so let's just reset. If you're just now tuning in, we've been on the air for a while as we've had multiple tornado warnings issued. So I'm just going to zoom this back out for a full view, and I'm going to run through the warnings that are in effect right now. So a lot of you watching in Indiana, it's still pretty quiet. We've got some heavy rain spreading across the area. As Kevin's been mentioning, flooding going to be a concern pretty much area-wide. All of us are under a flood watch, but we've got this Boeing line of storms starting to track into the area. So what we're going to do is we'll go in first to Jasper County, where we've got our greatest concern there, where there may still be a tornado on the ground per radar signatures. So that tornado warning for Jasper and Crawford counties continues until 4:30 Central Time. The greatest area of concern is going to be Willow Hill, Hunt City to Yale, right along Highway 49. So that's where you need to be seeking shelter now. We've had reports that that storm has produced tornado touchdowns as it's been crossing the Wabash Valley. Then farther to the north, the tornado warning also continues for northern Cumberland, southern Coles, and the far northwestern part of Clark County until 4:45. This is for rotation that's right in the Highway 30 area north of Greenup. If you know that part of Cumberland County, north of the Orchard, moving up toward the Hutton area in Coles County, Westfield, Oilfield, please pay attention to that storm. Still radar indicated rotation, but that is something we're monitoring closely. Then farther down to the south, we have additional tornado warnings in effect for Clay and Effingham counties in Illinois until 4:45 Central Time. This is for another complex of storms for some rotation in the Bible Grove area. So if you're in Jasper County, we've been stressing that storm that's coming through the Newton area now. There's going to be another one approaching within the next hour. And then off to our west, we still have more storms kind of forming right along that line, which is leading to our flooding threat. We still have some rotations in the Kinmundy area up toward Mason and Effingham County, and that is also a tornado-warned storm. So we're going to still have to keep an eye out for northern Clay County, Illinois, as that thunderstorm slides into that part of the Wabash Valley. And then the only other severe thunderstorm warning we have in effect continues for Coles, Cumberland, and northern Jasper counties, the northern extent of that line of storms. That's going to be in effect also until 4:45 Central Time. It's kind of difficult to spot, but from Mattoon to Charleston over toward Ashmore, right up to the Clark County line, and then northern Jasper County. So this does include the Hidalgo area, Toledo, Greenup, that's where that main line of storms is going through. So we're running into time within the next 20 minutes. I'm sure we'll get our next batch of warnings as these storms propagate a little bit farther off to the east, and that's where we'll see where they are still tracking those areas of rotation as this thunderstorm slides into the area. So we'll back this back out. Let me go back into the rotation while I'm here and just get an update. Again, the storm of greatest concern is in eastern Jasper County. There it is. We're still seeing our red and greens very close together. North of Willow Hill, this is where a tornado is likely still on the ground with this storm per radar signatures there. So we need to be watching this very closely. We'll hope that it has lifted at this time. There's not been any confirmed reports that one is on the ground per storm spotters or emergency management, at least that I've seen here recently. But just based on the signatures on the radar, that's what we're going to be monitoring closely. I'll flip this over to our debris detector. Not seeing quite as much of those other colors, blues or greens. There's still some right around the Willow Hill area. So that's what we're helping use to determine if radar is seeing something that's not precipitation, which is that the detector does. That's why we think there might be a tornado with this storm. So that's why we're going to have to keep a very close eye on that storm in eastern Jasper County. And as I mentioned earlier, this thunderstorm is getting caught up in a lot of rain. The rain's already out ahead of this. So if a tornado is forming, it's going to be wrapped up and very difficult to spot. Kevin?
Yeah, let's talk about rain here for a second, Everett. So let me show you the Storm Team 10 storm.
Actually, let me interrupt you
Go
again.
ahead.
New tornado warning just came out for that storm I was talking about. So I want to get that information out real quick, as news sirens and stuff will likely be going off with this storm. New tornado warning for eastern Jasper, northern Crawford, southern Clark counties until 5:30 Central Time. They're still going a confirmed tornado based on radar signatures. No official spotters have reported this to the National Weather Service, but it would be difficult to see with the rain. So this warning in effect until 5:30, moving to the northeast at 35 miles per hour. This warning does include all of northern Crawford County and then the southern part of Clark County. At this time, this does not include Marshall, Martinsville, or Casey, but this is going to be down near West Union, Old York, West York, those parts of Clark County. This does include Hudsonville, Annapolis, Porterville, and this goes right up to Robinson and points to the north. So let me draw a track on real fast before I send it back to Kevin. Again, this area of rotation that we're tracking very closely that may still be producing a tornado is right in the Hunt City area around Willow Hill. So it's moving through that area now. Dogwood, northern, right there in Crawford County, 436, Annapolis, 446, West Union, 5:02 Central Time. And then if you're in Indiana, you want to pay attention to this storm. If it maintains its speed, getting over into the Fairbanks area in Sullivan County around 6:14 Eastern Time. Kevin?
Alrighty, Everett, you were talking about some of the heavy rain, which is shrouding the visibility of maybe some of these tornadoes that could be on the ground. So what I've done is put a rainfall estimate here on the Storm Team 10 storm tracker so you can get an idea about the amount of rain that's coming down here. You get into that corner with Cumberland County, Coles County, and Clark County, that little spot right there, raining at almost 4 inches per hour, and just slightly to the south in the southern part of Cumberland County, raining more than 3 inches per hour. And so because of this heavy rain coming down, we have flash flood warnings in effect until 7 o'clock for Cumberland and Effingham counties, and those expanding also down into Clay County, Illinois. And so we do have flash flooding going on. And not only do we have tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, we also have a tornado watch in effect. This tornado watch is in effect until 10 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. That would be 9 o'clock Illinois time. And that's for the areas you see shaded there, Vigo, Sullivan, and Knox County here in Indiana, and Edgar, Clark, Crawford, Lawrence, Richland, Jasper, Cumberland, Coles, Douglas, Effingham, and Clay counties in Illinois, as storms continue to migrate to the east, northeast, anywhere from 35 to about 40 miles an hour. Everett?
Okay, and let's go back into our tornado warned storm that is for a radar confirmed tornado. And what that means is they haven't had any ground truth from a spotter or emergency managers or law enforcement, but there are signatures on radar that we're seeing that indicate there's likely a tornado with this storm in eastern Jasper County. You're seeing those red greens very close together, just to the east of Hunt City, to the northeast of Willow Hill. This is just northwest of Oblong. If you are right along western Cumberland or western Crawford County, please seek shelter now. This tornado warned storm and potential tornado is still still on the ground, and it is going to be headed just to the north of Oblong, basically from Annapolis to Oblong, the Porterville area. Please seek shelter as this thunderstorm is moving to the northeast at about 35 miles per hour. So that's why we've got this new tornado warning that goes for the next hour for northern Crawford County into southern Clark County. Does not include Marshall at this time, but this does include West Union and points south of Darwin. So this is the greatest storm of concern at this time. We've got a couple other tornado warnings, but this one's got our strongest radar indicated rotation, and enough that the National Weather Service believes that there is a tornado on the ground with this storm. Now, we've been talking about what I call the debris detector, and this is what the radar is scanning up and detecting anything that's not precipitation. And earlier we saw a very pronounced signature near Newton, which is unfortunate because that could mean that a tornado lofted up a bunch of debris into the atmosphere. It has calmed down significantly. So we're going to hope that's a sign that that tornado is not still on the ground or has lifted. So we're going to hope that remains to be the case as this thunderstorm crosses over into Jasper County. But as we look back at our velocity, this is still some very strong indication that we've got some rotation within this thunderstorm, particularly just to the north of Oblong. So again, if you're in northern Crawford County, please seek shelter now. Lowest, most interior room. Put as many walls between you and the outdoors as possible as the storm comes through. If you're in a mobile home, hopefully you have time, especially if you're down warning of this. If you're in the Hudsonville area, West Union, try to find a more substantial structure to go to, because mobile homes will be very dangerous to stay in as these tornadoes come through. We've seen countless times where they'll come through and blow mobile homes off their foundation or flip them over. So please take this thunderstorm seriously as it comes through, and try to avoid any travel. Again, if you need to be seeking sturdier shelter, that's one thing, but don't just be headed out to run errands at this time. Please try to stay indoors. You don't want to be on the road as these thunderstorms move through, because if a tornado is happening with this storm, it's likely wrapped up in rain and would be very difficult to spot, and you won't really know that there's a tornado coming right for you until it's right on top of you, because it'll be raining so heavily. But still lots of lightning just to the north of Oblong, which is a sign that that storm is still packing a punch as it crosses over Jasper County and moves into Crawford County. And as I zoom down here to the south, brand new tornado warning just came out, so let's get the latest on this. This is in Clay County, Illinois. A new tornado warning until 5:15 Central Time for a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. So that's radar indicated rotation. It was located over Stephen Forbes Station, or to the northeast of Salem, moving east at 40 miles per hour, I believe. So that is just to the east of Kinmundy. This brand new tornado warning for Clay County, Illinois includes Louisville again, Sailor Springs, down to Clay City. This is just north of Flora and north of Xenia. So this area, we already had reports of tornado touchdowns earlier. Unfortunately, once again, please seek shelter if you're watching us down there in Clay County, Illinois, as there is another storm that is rotating headed in your direction. So let's look where that rotation is. This is still well off to our west, so the National Weather Service giving you plenty of advance notice here. This is just east of Kinmundy in Marion County, and that will be crossing over toward Clay County, Illinois. So that one's not of particular immediate concern, but obviously something we need to watch as these thunderstorms continue to spin toward the Wabash Valley and move in. So I'm going to zoom this back out so you can get a wide view. Time now 5:30 in Indiana, 4:30 in Illinois. We've got a tornado warning for southeastern Coles, northern Cumberland, western Clark until 4:45. We've got a tornado warning until 5:30 for southern Clark, northern Crawford, and eastern Jasper. That is for a storm that the National Weather Service thinks that there is a tornado on the ground, or has been, based on radar signatures. And then we've got that new tornado warning that just came out for Clay County, Illinois until 5:15 Central Time for rotation, just crossing I-57, moving eventually toward the Louisville area, and then over towards Sailor Springs, and may include the Clay City, Illinois area. Again, if we've been talking about Clay County so far, that's just Illinois. Clay County, Indiana, you can see nothing happening there yet, but these thunderstorms will eventually be headed your way as we watch this rotation slide into the area. So just another analysis of this storm. That's where that notch is, so that's likely where this thunderstorm north of Oblong is drawing in that rotation. So that's why if you're in northern Crawford County, please take this storm seriously and seek shelter as it continues to move through. Kevin, we'll go ahead and send it back to you.
Okay, thanks, Everett. So what I'm doing is staying in touch with the Weather Service in Indianapolis, and they just announced something here. They just put out a bit of a discussion to let us know what's going on. And they have their eye on an area right in through here that I'm highlighting here on the storm tracker. This region right in here is what they seem to be the most concerned about. Of course, their tornado warning is in the northern part of Crawford County there and the southern part of Clark County. But they're monitoring, and Andrew White, who is in fact a native of Terre Haute, is over at the Weather Service in Indianapolis. And the latest message that I got from him says they are watching this development here, and they're going to keep a really close eye on the progression of this complex of storms, which tend to be moving a little bit more to the east rather than the northeast, and that would put that in the track where you see there that I've highlighted here as we monitor this storm, which eventually is going to move out of Illinois, across the Wabash River and into Indiana.
And we have a new severe thunderstorm warning to the north of that tornado warning storm near Oblong. So this new warning just came out for Clark, Coles, Crawford, and Edgar counties until 4:30 Central Time. Also going to include Cumberland County. Maybe it doesn't. I think it may start right at the county line with Casey. So southern Edgar, eastern Coles, all of Clark, and then the northern part of Cumberland County, Crawford County, until 5:30 Central Time for this area right here. And this is for strong wind gusts. So we've been watching this rotation come across the Coles-Cumberland County line, making its way toward Westfield now. That warning is going to expire at 4:45 Central Time, so a little less than 15 minutes. We'll see if that gets extended, but they have gone ahead and put out the larger severe thunderstorm warning because within that main line of storms, there's still going to be some strong wind gusts. And so that thunderstorm was moving off to the east. This is going to include Marshall, Paris, points in between Casey, Martinsville, and then down toward Lincoln Trail State Park. It was moving to the east at 35 miles per hour, so I'll put a line of where you can expect that thunderstorm to go. This thunderstorm will impact Terre Haute as it continues to slide through. There's no warnings right now for Vigo County as it's still off to our west. Martinsville, 441 is when that line of storms that could bring some strong wind gusts will be coming toward you. Paris at 5:03 Central Time, Elbridge 5:12, West Terre Haute 6:23 Eastern Time, and then Terre Haute around 6:27 Eastern Time is when we could see this band of storms come across the area that may have some rotation embedded within it, though at this time the strongest area of rotation within that particular part of the line is going to be in the Westfield area in Clark County. So that's the new severe thunderstorm warning that just came out for that area. They've just updated the tornado warning here in Crawford County, so let me get you the new information there. Jasper County no longer under the tornado warning as it's crossed the county line, but at 4:33 a confirmed tornado was located near Oblong, or 9 miles northwest of Robinson, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. This is still based on radar data. So again, treat this like there's a tornado on the ground, and it's going to be north of Oblong, Annapolis, Porterville, Hudsonville, West Union. Please take this thunderstorm seriously as this is going to be headed in your direction. It will be near Hudsonville around 4:50 Central Time. So let's look inside that thunderstorm as we watch that rotation. There it is. Will be to the north of Oblong, just as the warning put out. That's where we're going to be seeing reds and greens interacting, which indicates that spin in the atmosphere when radar is detecting the wind headed in opposite directions. So let me get you an updated track for that particular part of the rotation as that lifts off to the northeast. You don't have much time if you're in the Annapolis or Porterville area, as this thunderstorm will be headed in your direction. Annapolis, 4:43 Central Time, and you're already seeing heavy rain, and that's why this thunderstorm in particular is going to be dangerous, because the tornado may be happening and you're not going to have any idea that it's going to be right there within the rain. So please take this seriously. Don't wait to see the tornado before taking action. Hudsonville just before 5 o'clock Central Time, and then eventually over toward Riverview across the state line at 6:06 Eastern Time. So at this time, if you're watching us in Sullivan County, you are not under a tornado warning, but as Kevin was talking about, the National Weather Service is monitoring this storm very closely, and we've got those signatures on radar that indicate there's still likely a tornado happening with this storm as it goes through Crawford County. And the other thing, as this storm comes through these areas, as we look at the debris detector, there's not much showing up, which we're going to hope that indicates that this tornado is not still on the ground, but we need to treat it like it is because as it moves through these parts of the Wabash Valley, it's a little more rural. There's a lot more farm ground, so it's not going to have as much to lift up into the atmosphere. Unfortunately, when you see those more pronounced signatures on radar, it's likely when it's going through a city where there's more structures and damage that can be done. So I'm not trying to scare anyone by saying this, but I just want to point out that we have to watch that closely. Then down to the south, update here on this tornado warning. They've gone back with a confirmed tornado with this storm that was east of Kinmundy, Illinois. So we are well to our southwest, but this is moving back into the News 10 viewing area. So this one is for fire department, has confirmed a tornado with this storm that was over Stephen Forbes Station, northeast of Salem. So this is where that tornado would be. This is in Marion County, Illinois, just getting ready to cross over into Clay County, Illinois. This new tornado warning is in effect until 5:15 Central Time, Louisville, Sailor Springs, Clay City. But again, I want to highlight this one more time as they has had a confirmation that a tornado is happening from firefighters. So lots of activity with these storms as they slide through the Wabash Valley. I'll zoom this back out. It looks like a severe thunderstorm warning came out for the rest of Crawford County, points to the south. So from Robinson, I've mentioned that Robinson is not under that tornado warning, just the north side of the city, I guess. But Flat Rock, you are now under a new severe thunderstorm warning, as well as all of Jasper County as we watch this line of storms come through. So obviously we just had that tornado warning storm come through the Bogota area to Newton. Very heavy rain, very frequent lightning happening with this storm. So that's prompted this new severe thunderstorm warning that goes all the way up to the Wabash River until 5:30. So there's going to be some strong wind gusts, potentially some hail with that storm as it moves to the east. And there's still some rotation. Right now it's weak enough that they've not put out a new warning for it in southern Jasper County. But this part of the storm here, where we've got all that lightning clustered around, that's likely the strongest part of the storm just to the south of Newton. So if you're in southern Jasper County, there's likely going to be some strong wind gusts headed in your direction. I just saw my tornado warning update there, so let me see if there was a new update with that warning farther to the north.
Tell you what, while you're checking that out, Everett, let me, because we have new flash flood warnings which have been issued. So let's take a look there, and I'm going to show you. Let me take off the radar so you can see the green outline. And so the flash flood warnings now including Jasper County, also Cumberland County, Clay County in Illinois, Effingham County, and so on. And so we have flash flood warnings because of the very heavy amounts of rain which have been coming out of these storms. Here you can see them. And the red boxes, of course, that's where the tornado warnings are. The other colored boxes are where we have severe thunderstorm warnings, and the green outlines are flash flood warnings, and that's probably not the last of the flash flood warnings that we're going to be seeing because of the potential of some very heavy rain coming out of these storms. There was an advisory put out a little while ago from the Storm Prediction Center talking about heavy rainfall, anywhere from 1 to 2 to 3 inches of rain coming up out of these storm systems. So these storms are not only producing a lot of lightning and thunder and tornadoes, but also some heavy rain as well. Everett.
Okay, so let's get the latest update on that warning in Crawford County. The National Weather Service did update. They are still calling this a radar confirmed tornado, so they believe there's enough indications on radar that one is on the ground. It is to the northeast of Oblong now, so if you're watching us in Oblong, the threat from that rotation has passed to your northeast. But please remain on alert because there is still very heavy rain just to your west that's going to be impacting town as it comes across Jasper County. But this warning at 4:38 Central Time, the National Weather Service says a confirmed tornado was located 7 miles northeast of Oblong or 7 miles northwest of Robinson, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. So they are still very concerned that there is a tornado on the ground with this storm, and it will be in the Hudsonville area around 4:50 Central Time. So you've got less than 10 minutes if you're in Hudsonville to seek shelter. There's that rotation just to the south of Annapolis. This is going to be in the Porterville area. If you're in northern Crawford County, West Union to Hudsonville, please seek shelter now. Lowest, most interior room, as we've got a potential tornado still on the ground as it slides across northern Crawford County. That tornado warning going to run until 5:30 Central Time as this storm continues to show signs of some strong rotation. And as Kevin and I have talked about a lot, if you've been watching us in the last couple of weeks as we've had these runs of storms come through, lightning often indicates a stronger thunderstorm, and that is what we're seeing here. You can see all these lightning bolts showing up within this particular radar frame that's on your screen. You can keep an eye on the lightning counter above the Storm Team 10 logo, and it's showing about 120 lightning strikes within the last 15 minutes of this storm. So that is an indication that that thunderstorm is tall, may have some hail way up within it, and it could be producing a tornado. Again, this is going to be just to the south of Annapolis. If you're in Hudsonville, West Union, Old York, West York, right along Route 1, southern Clark County, please seek shelter now as this tornado-warned storm is moving in your area, and there may still be a tornado on the ground. And if there is one on the ground, it's likely going to be very difficult to spot, as it will be wrapped up in heavy rain as it comes through the area. So let me look in there one more time at our debris detector to see if it's picking up anything. Fortunately, not seeing anything overly concerning there. We're going to hope that stays the same, because that might be one indication that this may not still be on the ground. But when you look at the velocity, I see why the National Weather Service continues to be concerned by this, because right here where those red and greens are interacting together, that's likely where we've got this tornado on the ground in the northern part of Crawford County, just to the west of Hudsonville and to the south of Annapolis. So this is north of Robinson. This is right in the Porterville area. Let me take the lightning off so you can see that a little more clearly. I'm trying to zoom in so we can get some other roads in here and they're not labeling for me. So this is going to be in the rural part east 1700th Avenue. It's likely where this storm is going to be. Just to the north of that with our velocity is where we've got the strongest rotation. So Porterville to Hudsonville to West Union, that's where you need to be seeking shelter. There's that rotation getting pulled into the thunderstorm, so that tornado likely going to be from Annapolis to Porterville, and that's going to be moving off to the east. So there's West Union, here's Route 1, Hudsonville, all these areas, please seek shelter. There's a new tornado warning for Sullivan County. That is going to include southern Vigo County as well. This is still, for the time being, the National Weather Service in Indianapolis is saying radar indicated rotation. They'll probably update that as this storm gets closer, but this tornado warning going until 6:30 Eastern time. So if you're watching us right now in Sullivan County, you'll likely start hearing the sirens going off in your communities that have them, as this warning does include Sullivan, Hymera, Shelburne, Farmersburg, Fairbanks, Graysville. This is going to be near Merom. This may not quite include the Merom area as it comes through. Yeah, it starts right basically from Merom to the north. And then in Vigo County, if you're watching, if you get these notifications, this does not include downtown Terre Haute. Downtown sits here, but this does include basically from the 641 bypass where those split points to the south. This goes right up to Riley. This includes Blackhawk, Lewis, Prairie Creek, Pimento. So all of those locations, southern Vigo County, you are now under a tornado warning as we watch this storm come across from Crawford County, Illinois. Moving to the east, northeast at 35 miles per hour. So while we're here talking about it,
I got a track on it here if you want.
Okay, we'll go over to Kevin. Track there.
Give you a chance to push some buttons there, Everett. So here's the track on that storm that has just been warned as it is anticipated to cross the Wabash River into the southern part of Vigo County. But the real concentration seems to be in the northern part of Sullivan County. But that doesn't mean if you live in South Vigo County, that doesn't mean you're out of the woods at all. So here's the track arriving in Sullivan, the biggest part of the storm at about 9 minutes after 6. By the way, the time right now is 5:45. It'll be in Jasonville at 6:27, Clay City at 6:38, Worthington 6:48, and Spencer at 7:11 as these storms trail off to the east at about 35 miles an hour, 35 to 40 miles an hour. These storms have a history of producing confirmed tornadoes, not just radar indicated, even though that's what we have right now is radar indicated. And Brady Harp just walked in as well. Hi, Brady. So Storm Team 10, the entire team is here as we continue to monitor this situation. Everett.
Want to also update, the Tornado Watch has been expanded to include the rest of the News 10 viewing area. So Kevin, if you could try to find out the time. I know the original one went until 10 o'clock Eastern, but you can see Vermilion, Park, Putnam, Clay, Owen, Monroe, Lawrence, Greene, Davies, Martin. You have all joined the tornado watch that extends over toward Indianapolis. So if you're watching in the News 10 viewing area, the exceptions of Vermilion, Illinois and Fountain, Indiana, you are now under a tornado watch as we continue to watch these storms slide into the News 10 viewing area. So we'll zoom out the looping here. We've got strong thunderstorms from about Paris. Oh, there's a big severe thunderstorm warning that just came out ahead of this line. So as I've been talking about, if you've been watching us for a while here on WTHI TV and MyFox 10, I figured that this would eventually move into one big line, and that's what's happening. And then within it, we're going to have to watch rotation. So they've just issued a new big severe thunderstorm warning for all of Vigo County, most of Clay County, all of Sullivan County, western Greene County, southern Vermilion, and southern Park counties. That's going to be in effect until 6:45 Eastern time. So we've got this strong line of storms from about Brockton to Kansas, Illinois, extending down Highway 49 all the way down toward Newton. And this is pushing off to the east. So this is going to be providing everyone with the potential for some strong wind gusts and very heavy rain. So that warning, again, goes until 6:45 as this whole line of storms moves off to the east at 45 miles per hour. And what I will do is put a track on that whole line. So we've been talking about that rotation that's around Hudsonville. Let me draw this down. This is going to be when this whole line crosses into your area. So Paris around 4:58 Central Time. West Union also at 4:58. Terre Haute around 6:15 is when the line of storms is going to come through. Right now the rotation should stay south of downtown. Lost Creek or the Sealyville area around 6:24, Brazil 6:37, and Worthington at 6:50. So we're all going to get rocked by a line of storms, but the strongest rotation within the storm is down here to our south within a little cell that's been out ahead of the storm initially. And as I say this, new tornado warning just came out too. So let me give you that information before I toss it over back to the Weather Center. Southern Jasper, southern Crawford, a new tornado warning until 5:45 Central Time. This is for that storm I was talking about south of Newton. All this lightning, there's some rotation embedded within there, and so they are watching that rotation closely as it moves off to the east at 45 miles per hour. And that storm is going to be headed toward Flat Rock and southern parts of Crawford County. So it's not as pronounced as some of that other rotation. This is just to the south of Newton, south of St. Marie. That's where we are watching that closely. So now I'll send it back over into the Weather Center where Brady has joined Kevin.
All right, thank you very much, Everett. And so, Brady, now we've had an expansion of this tornado watch, which now includes all of the News 10 viewing area.
Yeah, all of the counties in Indiana. I know you were talking earlier about these. Maybe they extend this into Indiana as more of these storms, especially to the southwest, start to gain some strength, and they're moving in that direction where Knox, Davies, Martin County could start to see some of these strong storms. So this isn't only an Illinois situation. This is an Indiana situation as well. These storms are moving now, about to cross the river in the Crawford County, Hudsonville area, about to spill over into Sullivan County. So it's something to keep an eye on for the next few hours.
And we've had reports of tornadoes on the ground in Illinois. Neoga, around Neoga, some possible tornado damage, and then down around Beecher City and some other places, Kinmundy, and so on. And so we've had some tornadoes, some funnel clouds drop out of the clouds, and in some cases actually touch down. Now, damage reports are not really quite complete at this point, but this is a very dangerous storm situation.
Yeah, and it's not just tornadoes that you have to worry about. It's the high amount of rain that you've been talking about, and it's just going to create hazardous conditions when it comes to travel. I'm sure emergency response, if there is a need for that, hopefully not, that they're going to have to drive through a situation maybe where water's over a roadway due to the amount of rain that's falling. So something to keep an eye on.
Okay, let's check that then with Everett. Everett.
Some new updates here on our warnings. The National Weather Service in Indianapolis has updated that warning for southern Vigo and northern Sullivan to a radar-confirmed tornado. So again, they're believing, based on radar signatures, that a tornado is on the ground, and they're saying it's in the Hudsonville area right now. So if you are to the east of Hudsonville, Graysville, if you are over towards Sullivan, Shelburne, Fairbanks, please seek shelter now. If there's a tornado occurring with this thunderstorm, it will be difficult to spot. It is likely wrapped up in rain and will make it difficult to do. So don't go out and wait to see it before you take action, because You may not know it's there until it's too late. But that warning continues for Vigo and Sullivan counties until 6:30 Eastern time as this rotation moves off to the northeast at 35 miles per hour. So let me put an updated track on that as that rotation was located in the Hudsonville area. And as this slides off to the northeast, we could be seeing it in West Union within next 6 minutes, 4:57. I think the worst of the rotation may stay just to the southeast of West Union, but please stay inside and seek shelter if you're in that area. Terman around 6:06, Fairbanks 6:10, Shelburne 6:20, Hymera just before 6:30, and then Lewis at 6:34 Eastern time. So where you see this concentration of lightning, that's going to be the strongest core of this storm, and that's where a tornado may be on the ground now in the Hudsonville area. If it's happening, it is likely obscured by rain and would be difficult to spot. So let me zoom in there even closer and just show you some of those other areas. Fairbanks, Graysville, Dodds Bridge, Terman, Riverview, Shelburne. If you're in Sullivan, this particular rotation, I know all of you in Sullivan County are still on edge after what happened back in 2023, but this rotation, if it maintains this current track, if it stays to the northeast, this area of rotation may go just to your north. But you need to pay attention because there's that other rotation still off to the west. So still take these storms very seriously. Shelburne to Farmersburg, please take this storm seriously, as if it maintains that northeasterly track, it's going to be crossing right through the northwestern part of Sullivan County and then head in your direction. Southern Vigo County, this does not include the city of Terre Haute, but this is points just to the south, basically where Highway 41 and the 641 bypass split apart. From there down to the south, we have this tornado warning in effect all the way down into Sullivan County. And then not to forget, we need to go back over here briefly in Clay County, Illinois. Emergency managers in Clay County have reported that they have seen this tornado cross over the county line from Marion County, and this is still a confirmed tornado with this thunderstorm. This warning is in effect until 5:15. If you're in Louisville, Sailor Springs, or Clay City, Illinois, take this storm seriously. You can see that notch there. That's where that rotation is going to be located within this thunderstorm as it slides off to the east. We're going to have to keep a close eye on that. It looks like over the last few scans, this has maybe weakened a little bit, so we'll hope that thunderstorm is showing some signs of weakening, as this is where we originally came on the air to talk about, was the storm in the Louisville area, and now it is continuing to still have some rocky weather through that part of the area. And then down here, lastly, before I send it back over to the Weather Center, I want to recap this other warning. We've talked a lot about the tornado that may be on the ground near Hudsonville, but there's another part of Crawford County you need to be on guard, and that's the southern half, because we've got another tornado warning until 5:45 for rotation that's south of St. Marie, south of Oblong, moving to the east. This includes the southern half of Crawford County from Robinson all the way down to Flat Rock and right up against the Lawrence County line here. We'll look inside this thunderstorm real fast so you can see where that rotation is. Again, that concentration of lightning is likely where that rotation is. So no confirmed tornado on the ground here. This rotation seems to be more broad. But based on the environment that we've been in with all of these tornado touchdowns reported, this thunderstorm could also strengthen and produce a tornado. So Flat Rock, please take this storm seriously, as well as everywhere else in the southern half of Crawford County from Robinson and Palestine southward. Kevin and Brady, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you very much there, Everett. And I was just looking at some information out of the Weather Service in Indianapolis. And Brady, they're keeping an eye on the southern part of Sullivan County as well. If you take a look at the Storm Team 10 storm tracker here on what we call Max 2, this area right in through here, that has been expanded now with a severe thunderstorm warning. Did you get that, Everett? I stepped out of the studio for a second because we have a crew headed out into the storm to bring us reports there. And so, Brady, looks like we maybe have to talk about some storms edging into the southern part of Sullivan County as well.
Sullivan County in southern Crawford County as well. You can see Jasper County still has plenty of lightning associated with this storm. And you can see, again, just look down here to the southeastern part of Jasper County. You know, you've already had that very strong storm, likely tornado, move through that area. And now you've got even more heavy rain, plenty of thunder, lightning, so be careful. Over here near Hudsonville, again, get to shelter now. Put as many walls between you and the outdoors as possible. The storm is making its way to the northeast as we move through these next several minutes here. And you can see how much lightning this is producing as well. And as Everett was saying, that You can't wait till you see these likely possible tornadoes. They're wrapped in rain. You're not going to know until it's already too late. So you need to get to shelter now. And again, look ahead of this tornado warning at Prairie Creek, Sullivan area. You have so much heavy rain ahead of it, so it's just going to be tough to see. And like you've been saying quite nicely here, that there's a lot of heavy rain in a short amount of time.
Yes.
So flooding is going to be a major problem in addition to the tornado likelihood that we might be seeing here.
So gusty wind, heavy rain, some hail. I haven't had a whole lot of reports of a lot of hail, though some hail is wrapped up in these storms. But these storms are producing funnel clouds and tornadoes, and some reports of actual tornadoes on the ground, especially over in Illinois. And it's going to be a while before we get official results from that. But we do have some tornadoes which actually have hit the ground.
Yeah, and you see this map showing a tornado watch. As you were saying earlier, this initially started just Illinois counties, some Indiana counties. This has been expanded to our entire viewing area through the first part of the night tonight. So for the next couple of hours here, stay weather aware. Of course, Storm Team is here. All three of us, we're going to continue to track this. I think Everett's got an update here on the latest storm that has been moving through the Wabash Valley.
Yeah, we continue to watch this entire line, and basically what I can tell you at this point is if you're anywhere along this main line of storms that's coming through, you have some kind of warning in effect for you at this point. It's either a severe thunderstorm warning, or for some of you, it's a tornado warning as we track some of this rotation. So we're approaching 6 o'clock here in Indiana, so let's just kind of regroup and see what's going on across the News 10 viewing area. The storm of greatest concern is going to be in the center part of the News 10 viewing area, where we've got a tornado warning and a possible tornado near Hudsonville. But looking at the latest update from the National Weather Service in Indianapolis, they've backed this back down to radar indicated rotation. So the signatures have weakened enough on radar that they're not confident that a tornado is on the ground. But you still need to take this thunderstorm seriously, because one could develop at any time as this thunderstorm moves through the area. This is where that rotation is with that lightning. Then down to the south, we also have this core of lightning. So a very strong storm likely happening here in southeastern Jasper County. That's prompted another tornado warning for southeastern Jasper, southern Crawford County. At this time, no confirmed reports that a tornado is on the ground there, but we need to pay attention to that very closely. And then farther off to our west, there's also a tornado warning for a confirmed tornado in the Louisville area, and that's going to be right in the center part of Clay County, Illinois. You can see that little notch here. That's where a likely tornado is happening, just near Louisville. And this could be the second one to touch down near Louisville, as the original storm that we're tracking moving into Sullivan County started down here. And so this is a tornado warning that continues until 5:15 Central Time for the central part of Clay County, Illinois. And there are a number of severe thunderstorm warnings that surround these storms. Farther to the south, they've got a new one from northern Richland County over toward Lawrenceville. So the rotation staying to the north of you, but still going to have some strong wind gusts be a potential. And then that whole line of warnings also extends over into Greene County, Clay County, Illinois, Park, Vermilion, Edgar County. So we're obviously paying a lot of attention to all the rotation that's within these storms, but there's still going to be very strong wind gusts and heavy rain come along this whole line. So that's why many of our counties continue to be under some type of warning at this time. And I want to zoom back out and put this into motion as you see this whole complex of storms, the heart of it right in the core of the Wabash Valley now. But look off down here to the southwest. There are still some other little areas of thunderstorm activity that's showing up, and even a tornado warning to our southwest. So if you're watching in Vincennes, Washington, Lagodi, Shoals, you're probably thinking most of this activity is going to miss you, and you would be right. The main complex of this line is going to slide to the north as it stands now, but we're watching that development down on the southern end, because with time, that is what's going to eventually be tracking down toward the southern tier of the Wabash Valley, and that's why that watch is still going to be in effect for several hours this evening as we see this come through. So some good news on those warnings here in Crawford, Clark, Sullivan, and Vigo. They've backed all of that down to radar indicated rotation, as it has shown some signs of weakening. So we'll hope that's a trend that continues. Kevin and Brady, I will go ahead and send it back over to you.
All right, we were just looking at some information that came out of the Clay County Emergency Management, Clay County, Illinois, with Hickory Hill some circulation going on there. Brady, what do you think?
Yeah, you can see it's not nearly as, from this angle, as tight as some of these earlier storms were showing. It's dangerous, but it's rotation's rotation. You need to get to shelter. This is a tornado-warned storm just north of Flora, and this is approaching our viewing area as we speak. So if you are living in this area, Flora, north of Flora, again, get to shelter now. Only you're in the path of this particular storm that's approaching. You can see it's just south of Newton, who's already seen a large amount of destructive weather already this evening. And you can see the Jasper County, southeastern Jasper County. You still have the area that has plenty of thunder, lightning tied to this. And up here to the north, northern Crawford County, Hudsonville, north of Hudsonville, you can see this area producing a large amount of lightning, thunder, heavier rain. Kevin, what are you seeing here?
Well, yeah, and also the Storm Prediction Center, they're discussing the possibility of, especially south and along of I-70, of these storms really becoming more intense as they move into a more unstable air mass. And so as these storms progress off to the east, a little bit to the northeast, I think what we're going to find is these storms also sagging a bit to the south. And as they do, if you live in Vincennes or in Washington, Bloomfield, even Bloomington, you're looking at the possibility of these storms moving into your area as well. So if it's not storming at your house, that doesn't mean it's not going to. And if it has already stormed where you live, you're not out of the woods just yet, because we still have development of storms farther out to the west. A very good example of that is, once again, a tornado warning in Clay County, Illinois. For that area around Flora, and also tornado warning for a portion of Crawford County into Sullivan County and the southern part of Vigo County as well. Everett?
Yeah, so some updates there. Brady was talking about the rotation in Clay County, that it showed some signs of weakening, and they backed that warning down to just radar indicated rotation. So no confirmed reports that a tornado is on the ground, but as Kevin's been mentioning, also emergency managers are still watching some areas of rotation just to the north of Flora. So we've got to keep an eye on that storm, but right now it has shown some signs of weakening. Right now, just based on looking at the storm tracker and the lightning data, I think the strongest storm in the area is down here in southeastern Jasper County, where you see all that lightning. There's just a core of lightning down there, a very noisy thunderstorm just south of St. Marie, and that's going to be moving into the Hardinville area, eventually over toward Flat Rock. There is a tornado warning for this part of the thunderstorm line for some rotation. So if you're in Flat Rock, this is going to be headed toward you, staying maybe just south of Robinson, but this is really close to the county line. Let me look inside that storm and see where that rotation is. It's more broad, but you can see those red and greens interacting here. Within this line of storms, you're going to see that more pronounced cutoff as that wind kind of pushes out with that thunderstorm. But within there could be some embedded rotation, just enough spin to produce a tornado, and that's why we have that tornado warning that continues for the southern part of Jasper and Crawford counties until 5:30 this evening, or 5:45, excuse me, there. So that is the part of that thunderstorm we will watch closely. And then I don't want to forget about the storm in Vigo County. Let's go back up here. Again, this one has shown signs of weakening. They no longer believe a tornado is on the ground. One could still be produced at any time, but the radar is not showing that it is as strong as it once was. Our lightning counts have gone down in this area, but still, if you're north of Sullivan, anywhere from Sullivan to the 641, Highway 41 split, just south of Vigo County, pay attention there. And it looks like they've just trimmed down that warning to take that down even farther. So basically, from Farmersburg to Sullivan, that's the area that's got the greatest chance to see that rotation. No confirmed tornado at this time, but if one's developed, that's going to be the area that it's happening in the Fairbanks area now in western Sullivan County. You can see some of those red and green still interacting together. These signatures are much less indicative that a tornado is happening. It's much weaker than it was earlier. So this is right along State Road 63 is where that rotation would be, north of Miram in the Graysville area, pushing off to the east, so Shelburne to the north side of Sullivan, and then eventually over toward Hymera as well. Please pay attention to this storm as it still comes through the area, but it has shown some signs of weakening from what it once was. That said, as Kevin said, it's moving into an environment that may be a little more unstable. So these thunderstorms could pulse right back up and could drop a tornado at any time, and it would be wrapped in rain if it happens, because we've got that very heavy rain falling all along this part of the Wabash Valley. And while we've got those tornado warnings kind of trimming down. We still have that big severe thunderstorm warning from Paris to Rockville, extending all the way down through Clay County to Linton, and then down here just to the north of Lawrenceville. So all along this line, you may not get a tornado or see that rotation, but there's still likely going to be some strong wind gusts and very heavy rain for sure as this pushes off to the east. And we don't need any more rain on top of what we've already seen, but that is what's happening here locally. Kevin and Brady, I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Everett. There's been a lot of rotation in these storms, a lot of funnel clouds dipping in and out, especially over in Illinois. But as this moves here into Indiana, we can expect probably the very same sort of behavior out of these storms as well. And Brady, you've been in touch with some folks down in Crawford County.
That's right.
Tell me about that.
Reaching out to people. You can see this storm here on Max 2, just north of Sullivan. You're in the path of this. But this is, historically moved through the Newton area, the Oblong area, Porterville, Annapolis area. And I've been hearing reports from, I've been reaching out to people I know, because I'm from, Robinson. I'm from the Crawford County area. And people are saying that power lines down Oblong, Porterville area has seen a lot of wind damage. Reports of a tornado touching down in Crawford County near Oblong. So, and this storm is moving into Indiana as we speak, and you can see it's producing a large amount of thunder, lightning. You see pictures on your screen now of these power lines down. You can see, look at that, Kevin.
Oh, wow.
Just right near the roadway. So, of course, if you're driving near this, be careful. Never try to approach these when they're on the ground like this. And if you see them blocking the road, just turn around. And in fact, I would try to avoid traveling for the next couple of hours anyway, altogether.
Yeah,
I know that's not always a choice, but I would just try to avoid traveling while you can. Kevin, you got any insights you want to?
Well, I would just say that when we see a situation like we saw that picture there with the power lines down, it's very possible those lines are still hot.
Yeah, live.
Yeah, and so you just need to stay away from that because that could be a very dangerous situation. As you mentioned, the best thing to do is just turn around. It doesn't make it worthwhile to risk your life or somebody else's to get somewhere in such a hurry. So, and this is going to be the case probably for the next few hours at any rate. We have, let me reach in front of you here. No. Let me just do this. We have a tornado watch continuing in effect until 10 o'clock tonight for everybody here in the News 10 and My Fox 10 viewing areas. And so this is in effect until 10 o'clock. Now, as storms continue to move off to the east and to the southeast, whether this remains in effect until 10 o'clock Eastern time for those of you in Douglas or Edgar or Coles counties, that remains to be seen. But right now, you still have a tornado watch in effect until 10 o'clock Indiana, 9 o'clock in Illinois. Everett?
And as we talk about that, as that watch still goes out, I want to point out to our west, obviously we've got a core of storms coming through the area, but look what's blossomed just within the last half hour. Several new tornado warnings in south central Illinois, even as far west as the St. Louis metro area, still tornado warning storms developing, and these are moving off to the east. So as we've been talking about, there's not been much activity all the way to Lawrenceville to Vincennes. All these little cells are going to be tracking to the east, so we've got to pay close attention to those as they come through the area. We get into the center part of the News 10 viewing area, and that's where we still have our active tornado warnings, so we'll go back into those storms. At this time, we still don't have any confirmation that a tornado is on the ground in Sullivan County, but if one is going to happen, we've got that notch showing up just to the south of Fairbanks, Indiana. So Shelburne, you need to be seeking shelter. Please get inside lowest most interior room. Shelburne to Farmersburg over toward Hymera. That's where that rotation is going to be headed. This is the storm that tracked through Crawford County, Jasper County, and we've had those reports of touchdowns, and we were showing those pictures of downed power lines. So these storms are packing a punch. Yes, Kevin.
Check the velocity, check the rotation in western Vigo County. The Weather Service in Indy is saying they're watching embedded circulation moving into western Vigo County. So what do you see?
Yeah, let's track this up to the north here if I can get my right tool. And there's a new tornado warning, Kevin. You just mentioned that. So this warning is right on the state line, extending for, this will be including Clinton and also the Rosedale area. So let me switch over my radar site so we can get kind of a closer view here. This is a new tornado warning for northwestern Vigo County, southwestern Park County, and then southeastern Vermilion County until 6:30. So this is just to the north west of downtown Terre Haute. This is basically where 63 and 41 split, and this includes North Terre Haute, Clinton, over to Rosedale, up toward Mecca, and this does include West Terre Haute, St. Mary of the Woods, New Goshen, all along U.S. Highway 150. That's where they're seeing some new rotation there. As Kevin mentioned, some embedded circulation. So let's flip this back over to our velocity data. And you can see where some of those red and greens are interacting. This is right at the county lines between Edgar, Vigo, and Clark County, right along the State Line Road. If you're familiar with that area, that's near where I'm from. And that's where that rotation is happening as it lifts off to the northeast. We're going to have to keep a close eye on that rotation. Right now, there's no confirmed reports of a tornado. But as I mentioned, there's going to be this line of storms pushing through. And as it does so, there could be just enough spin that a quick tornado could develop. So let me put a track on that line of the storms as it lifts through western Vigo County. These are moving a little bit faster along that line at about 50 miles per hour, so we'll extend that track down and then lift that up. Larimer Hill around 6:15 Eastern Time. Harrison, 6:19. Terre Haute around 6:21. This may stay just to the northwest of downtown, but if you're basically downtown, let's say from the courthouse to the north, please go ahead and seek shelter as this line of storms comes through. And then Rosedale around 6:32 here in southern Park County. So if you're watching us in Vermilion County, I believe it's the policy up there that the sirens activate all across the county when warnings are in effect. So if you're watching us in Cayuga, Perrysville, Newport, this threat is to the south. This does include the city of Clinton. And then if you're in Park County, same story. If you're hearing sirens all across the area, this is going to be down in the southwestern part from about Rosedale over toward Bridgeton. That's where this tornado warning is in effect. And then specifically here in Vigo County, I'll zoom in a little bit closer for more of those communities. Again, downtown Terre Haute sitting right here. This warning is just off to our northwest, but this includes all the towns along U.S. Highway 150, all the way down into the West Terre Haute area. Here's Liggett, and then that will extend over toward Fontenette, and then that will lift up to the northeast. So that's that newest tornado warning that we have in effect for the area. Let me zoom back out. As I watch, we've got a new tornado warning in Richland County. This one does include the city of Olney. So earlier that storm went to your northwest, but now that tornado warning that we've had in Clay County, they've extended that over into Richland County. This warning will be in effect until 6 o'clock Central Time. There's that rotation just north of Clay City, Illinois. So Noble, Olney, Calhoun, you are all now under a new tornado warning until 6 o'clock Central Time. At this time, this is for radar indicated rotation, but emergency managers have been seeing rotation within that storm. So you'll want to be seeking shelter if you were there in Olney. So that's the latest on warnings here. Some good news is the warning that was in effect for southern Crawford County, it looks like they've allowed that to expire, or they've canceled that, but still a strong storm moving through the southwestern part in the Hardinville area in Crawford County. Kevin and Brady, I'll send it back to you in the Weather Center.
All right, Everett. Brady, you were looking at something here. You want to show us what you were talking about?
The storm in northern Sullivan County. You can see where lightning, a lot of these storms producing a lot of lightning. You can see our hail trackers on. And so far, we've been looking for hail in the storm as part of our hail tracker. And we've only really seen hail here in northern Sullivan County. And you can see where that storm is moving. It's moving, obviously off to the east there. But it's, Shelburne area. You got plenty of thunder, lightning there. But as this continues to move, you can see that it just moved there. This where the storm tracker's thinking there's hail. If you're driving along 41, and I would advise not driving at all for the next couple of hours. But you're driving through not only heavy rain, but you might be driving through some very dangerous hail conditions over the course of the next couple of hours, or not hours, the next several minutes here as it travels across 41 and continues to make its way off to the east. And you can see another look at our storm tracker there. It's showing how widespread these storms are. But again, our hail, we've been looking on the hail tracker here. It looks like that storm in northern Sullivan County is the one where the most hail is.
I just saw where they're tracking some circulation rapidly tightening west of Shelburne. You got Shelburne on there?
To the west of Shelburne. So that'd be the Hudsonville area. You can see how heavy the rain is there, and that's going to likely continue as it travels through. So looking here, you can see where you don't want the green and the red to mix. Everyone's been saying this. When that gets tight, when they start to mix together like that, that indicates that the storm is spinning in a way that could be very dangerous. And if that spinning, gets a little bit lower to the ground, obviously a tornado becomes possible, and it's dangerous. This is still near that other warned storm near Sullivan, just to the north of Sullivan, passing 41 there. So again, we're watching this. You can see, again, it's moving, like you said, about 35, 45 miles an hour.
Yeah, and Everett's got a pretty good view of that as well. Everett?
Yeah, Brady was looking at that rotation, and I'll point it out since I'm over here at the wall. Right here to the west of Shelburne, that's where the National Weather Service is monitoring that rotation getting tighter. So like I mentioned, a lot of times tornadic thunderstorms will kind of go through cycles where they'll be strong and they may produce a tornado, and then they kind of run out of steam, and then they just recharge and they may produce another tornado. And that could be what's happening here. So that's why the rotation appeared weaker, but we said, please continue to take this seriously, because we are seeing that rotation increase in strength a little bit just to the west of Shelburne. So Shelburne, Hymera, if you're north of that in Sullivan County, please seek shelter along Highway 48 south of Farmersburg. That's where that strongest rotation is going to be tracking, and that tornado warning going to continue for the next just under 15 minutes until 6:30. Now back up here to the north, I want to talk about this warning again that includes the northwestern half of Vigo County and then southern Park in southern Vermilion County. No confirmed reports that anything's happening, but this is within a big line of storms. So if we can take the ISU tower cam here in downtown Terre Haute, you can see it's raining heavily here in town. The warning does not include downtown Terre Haute, but you can see the visibility on the horizon there. It's difficult to see anything too many hundreds of feet away, so you're not going to be able to tell if there was a tornado coming right at us on this tower cam. The rotation is west of downtown, but I'm using this as an example to show that there's already rain coming out ahead of these storms. So if a tornado develops, it would be very difficult to know that it's happening until it's right there at your location. So we can go back to the radar now. This warning does include the Clinton area, Rosedale. This is south of Rockville, but you may be hearing sirens across Park County because of this warning that's in effect. And so that's where we're seeing this rotation. The core of the storm, again, just from West Terre Haute, basically we're extending right along Highway 150 is where we're seeing the core of that thunderstorm. The rotation appears to be slightly off to the west, but it doesn't look to be overly pronounced, so this seems to be an area of weaker rotation, but still enough that you want to take this storm seriously as it comes through the area there. And I think I saw my warning update, so let me click on that and see what the latest update. At 6:17, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Terre Haute, moving to the northeast at 40 miles per hour, still for radar indicated rotation. So no new confirmation that something is happening with that storm, but it was moving to the northeast at 40 miles per hour. So since this is right here in a heavily populated area, I'll go ahead and put an updated track on this. This is moved through the Sanford area, right on the county line and state line. West Terre Haute, the rotation will be into West Terre Haute around 6:23 Eastern, Clinton around 6:31 if this core of the storm lifts up to the northeast as the current track. Mecca around 6:40, Rosedale 6:41, and then eventually farther up to the north, this could get up into the Rockville area around 6:50, though at this time the town of Rockville not under a tornado warning. Now while I'm here, I do need to go back down here, another populated area. Underneath the tornado warning is down in Richland County. The city of Olney is under a tornado warning at this time, and that is also for radar indicated rotation. But we've been watching this cell. This is the one that came out of the Kinmundy area in Marion County, Illinois. You still see this little tail that's developed on this thunderstorm, so that is likely where it's pulling in the air. That rotation is going to be located just near the Clay City, Illinois area, just getting ready to cross the Little Wabash River, getting its way into western Richland County. So if you're in Noble, near the Olney-Noble Airport, or in the city of Olney, please seek shelter. This rotating storm is going to be headed in your direction at about 30 miles per hour. So a track on that storm is going to put it in town within the next few minutes. We'll draw that from where the rotation is located, just east of Clay City. Drag that out in Noble, 5:29. So about 10 minutes for Noble, Olney around 5:42, and then eventually Claremont. You're right on the edge of that tornado warning around 5:54 Central Time. So those are the areas that we're watching. And then, of course, we still have that tornado warning in the Shelburne area. I'll zoom back in. That's when we started. The National Weather Service indicated that it was tightening up a little bit, and there you can see in the Shelburne area, that's where that rotation would be. So Hymera, now's the time to seek shelter. If you're in the northeastern part of Sullivan County, that's where the worst of the rotation is going to be. If you're watching us in Sullivan, extending down toward Merrim, Lebanon, just to the northwest of Carlisle, you're still under a severe thunderstorm warning. Excuse me, the rotation is to your north, but there's still a strong storm coming into the central part of the county. Brady and Kevin, I'll send it back over to you.
Yeah, Everett, you're watching all the warned areas, those red boxes that you see on the storm tracker, but there are still areas of concern even outside of these that might get strong enough to, proc another warning here. I'm looking southern Crawford County. You can see how much lightning, how much heavy rain is. Oh, you can see a new warning has been issued there. Flat Rock, you're in the path of this. Heavier rain, thunder, lightning, and possible rotation. That you see that birds, again, Russellville, Oaktown, you're even farther downstream of this storm. And this is until 6 p.m. or should I say 6 p.m. Illinois time. And you can see as we move through the next several hours here, this is going to be more and more possible, as especially in Indiana, after those counties got under that tornado watch. And Kevin's looking at the rotation of this storm near Flat Rock, and you can see what has concerned the National Weather Service there. I'll put on the velocity here, and you can see how the reds and greens, when they start to swirl together like that, when they start to mix together, you never want to see that. Again, that indicates that the storm is spinning in a way that could be dangerous, could start to get lower to the ground and produce a tornado as it moves through here. Everett is waiting here for...
drag that up to Sullivan, if you would, please, too, because, see, look at that. I just got a report approximately, this is from ham radio operator Eric Bonham down from central Indiana. Skywarn, approximately 70-mile-per-hour wind in Sullivan, several large tree limbs down. So... trees are blowing over, limbs are coming down.
And this is right along US 41.
Yes.
So, again, we've been saying if you don't have to travel, this is not the evening to be traveling if you can help it. And, it's producing a large amount of rain, possible hail, thunder, lightning, and, possible tornadoes.
Yeah.
So, Everett?
Yeah, we've got another new tornado warning that just came out, so I will talk more about that warning. This is well off to our west. Unfortunately, we're going to go round 3 in Clay County when it comes to tornado warnings in Illinois. So we've got this one storm that we're tracking going toward Albany. This moved just out of Clay City. That's the rotation moving into Richland County. Just off to the west, there's more rotation over here in Fayette and Marion counties. This cluster of storms, once again near Kinmundy, producing more rotation. That's prompted a new tornado warning for Clay County, Illinois, including Flora, Louisville, Bible Grove, basically from Xenia up to the north. That new tornado warning goes out for radar-indicated rotation. You've got some thunderstorm activity already in the area, but this warning is going to go until the top of the hour, 6 o'clock Central Time, for this storm. This does include the far western southwestern snippet of Jasper County. So you may be getting notifications in Jasper County of a new tornado warning. This does not include Newton. This is just that far southwestern corner, but that's for this storm near Kinmundy. So this is, again, the third tornado warning storm that we've seen cross over Clay County, Illinois. And that's why we've got to be watching these storms very closely. Brady was telling you about that new tornado warning that had been issued here in Crawford County and Lawrence County. So this does not include Lawrenceville, but this does include the Russellville area. This is around Birds. So this is northern Crawford County or northern Lawrence and southern Crawford, Flat Rock to Birds. Please seek shelter. The strongest part of this storm that's rotating will be headed in your direction. That warning going to be in effect until 6 o'clock tonight. 30 taking it toward the Lawrenceville area. So that's where, or just north of Lawrenceville in the Russellville area, that's where that thunderstorm is going to be. We'll go ahead and put a track on this. And I will note, as I think I heard the alarm go off in the control room, that thunderstorm is moving toward Farmersburg, which is where our transmitter is here at WTHI. So if we go in and off the air, that's likely what's going to be happening as that storm goes through. But we will still be here at the TV station with updates, and so hopefully those feeds can be restored. Birds at 5:32 Central Time, Heathsville 5:43, Russellville 5:47, and then Oaktown, if you're watching in northern Knox County, this is a storm you need to be watching as that rotation is tracking right along the Crawford-Lawrence County lines that will eventually get it over into northern Knox County and into the Oaktown area. Okay, another new warning.
Vigo, Sullivan, Clay until 7:15. They're expanding that
Sullivan County storm.
Yeah, that Sullivan County storm.
So there it is here
Yep.
on the storm tracker, and this one goes until 7:15. So that rotation that was near Shelburne and in the Hymera area now is still strong enough that they've issued a new warning. So this includes southern Clay County. This does not include Brazil. This is basically from Center Point to Clay City and the southern tip of Clay County, Indiana, and then the southeastern part of Vigo County, so just to the south of Riley from Black Hawk to Lewis, and then this is just north of Jasonville. That's where we're seeing the rotation. You can see here where this storm's bowing out, so there's likely some strong wind that's going to be sliding into Jasonville, and then right here is where that thunderstorm is drawing in some of those stronger wind gusts, and that is where that rotation is going to be sitting, and that's exactly where you can see it as we look at the velocity scope right here, those brighter colors indicating some strong wind. So this is just to the southeast of Farmersburg, right where our transmitter is, and that's where this rotation is going to be passing off to the northeast. So if you're from Lewis down to Hymera, that's the area you need to be seeking shelter, and this is going to be moving into Clay County. So basically from Saline City to Clay City, points to the south, please seek shelter now in Clay County as this rotating storm is going to be headed in your direction. And this is the part of the storm that's had a history of producing some of that wind damage. And while I'm here recapping tornado warnings, let's go back up to the north real quick. We'll get up here into Vermilion County, Indiana, Southern Park County, and then the northwestern half of Vigo County, where they still have a tornado warning out for some embedded rotation in the area. So that is where we'll be watching this storm. But that is still just for radar indicated rotation. No confirmed reports that anything is happening, but that's the tornado warning storm that's including Clinton to Rosedale and in the northern part of Vigo County. So there are multiple storms that we are keeping a very close eye on here in the Weather Center. We'll zoom this out. You can see the tornado warning, northern Vigo County, southern Vigo County, Crawford and Lawrence counties, Richland County, and Clay County. So this whole complex of storms has some kind of warning with it as it pushes off to the east. Kevin and Brady, I'll send it back over to you.
All right, we were just looking here. Brady, you've got the hail tracker turned on because while these storms a little bit earlier this afternoon were not producing hail, now they are. So let's take a look at that.
And Everett's been telling you about the tornado threat. Let's go through the hail threat. You can see northern Vigo County. Storm Tracker's not seeing where it thinks any hail is, which is good news. But again, you still got the heavier rain, the rotation in that area. A bit farther south, though, you can see crossing the 41 area through Shelburne, Sullivan, heading toward Jasonville, Duggar area. This area where, it's producing a lot of lightning and that gray color that you see painted over this county. That's where the Storm Tracker thinks hail has fallen or is falling, and not where you see a lot of lightning collect like that on the radar in these storms. That's where hail usually likes to form. That's what's happening. And then down here, southern Crawford County, near Pinkstaff area, Applegate, you can see Flat Rock, Heathsville area. You're in the path of a large amount of wide area of where the Storm Tracker thinks hail is possible. And again, look at all the lightning there. It just matches up perfectly. And you can see zoomed out here, Richland County, Lawrence County, some nowhere near as much as that storm in Crawford County, again, producing all that lightning and thunder there. And you can see our tornado watch, the whole area under this tornado watch for the next couple of hours here. Now, hopefully, as this continues to move out, the National Weather Service allows those Illinois counties, the farther west, where we're not seeing as much activity. Hopefully they allow those to expire and we start to get it all clear in the next couple of hours. But again, stay alert. If you're painted in this, it's our whole viewing area in this yellow color, you need to stay alert for these next couple of hours. Of course, Storm Team 10's here. We're keeping an eye on this.
Yeah, we are. I think within the next short period of time, I would not be surprised if that storm is that tornado watch, at least maybe a severe thunderstorm warning, but it could be a tornado warning would be expanded into portions of Knox County. Everett, what are you seeing on there? It looks like it's starting to spin up a little bit.
Yeah, that's the area we're watching, as the National Weather Service is as well. That rotation that's just to the south of Flat Rock. They're going to be watching northern Knox County closely. Right now, you're not under a tornado warning, but I wouldn't be surprised if that jumps the Wabash River here pretty soon. And it looks like the National Weather Service in Lincoln has just updated that warning to a radar-confirmed tornado. So let me pull up the latest information there. 5:29 p.m. Central Time, a confirmed tornado was located near Flat Rock, or 8 miles north of Lawrenceville, moving east at 30 miles per hour. So this is based on radar observations. where the National Weather Service is seeing that rotation tighten up. So this is just south of Flat Rock. If you're in the Birds area, extending to the east, Heathsville to Russellville along Highway 1 or Highway 33, please seek shelter now. A tornado could be developing or is already on the ground. Our rotation is showing that just to the west of Birds along Highway 1. So this is the area of greatest concern right along the the Crawford and Lawrence County lines as that rotation moves off to the east. So if you're watching us over in Oaktown, it's quiet for now. Well, you've got some rain falling in the area, but the worst of the activity is just off to your west. This is going to be headed in your direction, so I would not be surprised that we see that warning get extended over into Knox County here before long. Let me put a time of arrival on that speed where that rotation is going to be just near Birds, and then extending that over. Birds, again, it's in Birds right now. So hopefully you've gone to a sturdier spot for some shelter in the Birds area, northern Lawrence County. Oil Grove, 5:35 Central Time. Russellville, 5:46. Oaktown, around 6:57, based on the speed of this as it moves off to the east. And still lots of lightning. So this is a noisy thunderstorm as it slides through the area. You can see all the lightning counters there. And in fact, let me just turn that off so you can see those towns a little bit more clearly. So that rotation, as we saw, was just near Highway 1. Moving off to the east, so Heathsville to Russellville, please seek shelter now. If you're in Oaktown, pay very close attention to this storm. I wouldn't be surprised that we see a warning come out for that part of Knox County shortly as we see this tornado warning storm slide through the area. And then farther off to the west, we still have those other tornado warnings that do include the Olney area. We're watching that rotation in the Noble area. Radar indicated at this time, nothing confirmed. And then we've got that other storm to watch over in Kinmundy. Kevin and Brady?
All right, we're just looking here at the debris field on Max 2, and what we can do when we see this is...
Yeah, you see where it's rotating, where those greens and reds are mixing together. You can look at where Storm Tracker, again, the radar, picking up what might not be rainfall or hail, or it might be damage being thrown up into the atmosphere. And you can see, which I think is good news here on our Storm Tracker, it doesn't seem to be a very bright signature here of debris, but there's some where it's not exactly so again, it should just be careful. Again, if you're in the path of this storm, just take shelter now if you haven't already. Put as many walls between you and the outdoors as possible. Make sure, I know the first instinct when any of these storms go through, and we've had severe weather this week, the first instinct is to try to go outside and take a look at it. But that you got to fight that instinct. You got to get inside. These are dangerous storms.
Yeah, everybody wants to be a storm chaser, and that can be very dangerous. And it's just not a really wise thing to do. Even trained storm chasers sometimes make foolish mistakes and get out in the path of a storm, and they wind up getting injured.
Think of all the hazards. You have strong winds. You have hail with these storms. You have flash flooding with these storms. It's just not a safe situation here for a little bit longer.
All right, let's check in with Everett and see how things are going on over there.
Well, a good update I can pass along. The tornado warning that was in effect for northwestern Vigo County, southern Vermilion, northwestern Park has been canceled. So that rotation's weak enough that they're not as concerned with that storm. So we're looking better in that part of the News 10 viewing area. We still have the tornado warning for southeastern Vigo, northeastern Sullivan, and the Hymera area, and southern Clay County for radar indicated rotation, and more of that rotation through Richland and Clay counties in Illinois. But our storm of greatest concern is still going to be down here in the Birds area. That's where the National Weather Service is more confident that a tornado is happening based on those radar signatures. So you can see on this radar data where this little notch is, and this is the thunderstorm pulling in air, and that rotation is going to be having that tornado be right in the Birds area now if one is on the ground. So if you're anywhere from Russellville to Heathsville, along Highway 33 in the eastern part of Crawford County and Lawrence County, please seek shelter. And if you're just across the Wabash River into the northern part of Knox County around Oaktown, be on guard as this storm is headed your way. And you can see this rotation very tight, where those red and greens are right together. That's where we're seeing that rotation. So this is right along the Lawrence-Crawford County line. This may be just to the south of Flat Rock. But again, this is going to be moving either on the county line and maybe wobbling right along it as that storm surges off to the east. So we'll have to pay very close attention if you're watching in Knox County, as this will be eventually getting over toward the Oaktown area. I'll zoom back out while we're analyzing the radar and looking within the thunderstorm. We'll go over into Sullivan and Vigo counties. The rotation seems to have broadened out a little bit more, but there's still some strong wind showing up on radar in the Lewis area and then farther down to the south. And I think it's important to mention that while we're tracking these areas of rotation, there are still severe thunderstorm warnings all along this line. So while there's not a tornado warning over here in the Linton area, that Boeing line of storms is likely producing some very strong wind gusts as it slides off east. So we'll have to be keeping that in mind, because obviously those strong wind gusts can also knock down trees and power lines and things of that nature. But our areas of rotation are going to be just to the north of Hymera and then down around Birds, where we're seeing the worst of the weather. And then down here in Richland County, I'll zoom back into that area. We'll see where this rotation is with this cell that's between Olney and Noble now near the airport. And right now this is still radar indicated, so no confirmation that there's anything on the ground, but you can see where those red and greens interacting together just on the west side of Olney. So that tornado warning does continue for Richland County. And then farther off to the west, the other tornado warning that we have is coming into the News 10 viewing area from Marion County. Once again, this looks to be more broad, not quite as organized, but you can see some of those areas of rotation extending down the western side of Marion, or the eastern side of Marion County. And that will be moving toward Louisville and Flora once again, as they've already had multiple rounds of severe thunderstorms slide through that part of the area. So here's the wide view. If you're just joining us, it's 6:30. Often the CBS Evening News is on at this time on CBS, but we've interrupted our programming on the air for almost a couple of hours now, as we've got these tornado-warned storms and Boeing line of thunderstorms surging across the Wabash Valley that do have our concern. And it's not just me in the Weather Center either. Storm Team 10 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Orpert and Brady Harp are also here with me, so I'm going to send it over to them as they continue to track these storms alongside me.
Right, Everett, one of the things that we've been talking about is heavy rain out of these storms, and because of that, Brady, we have flash flood warnings in effect. You want to talk about that?
That's right. Even in the counties that, you know, the thunderstorms, the loud thunderstorms have passed, we still have, severe weather hazards. Like you said, large amounts of rain in a short amount of time. You can see down to the west there, Effingham, Newton, Robinson area, you're still dealing with some severe thunderstorms. Tornado watch is until about 10 p.m. Indiana time. But like you were saying, Kevin, look at these flash flood warnings.
Yeah.
Effingham, Jasper, Crawford County.
All right, Knox County, they pulled the trigger.
Yep, we do have a new tornado warning that has been issued for northern Knox County, southern Sullivan County. So I want to get you the latest information on that. This is until 7:15. Now, the Weather Service in Indianapolis has just gone for some radar indicated rotation. So still some very strong signatures showing up on radar, but that's the storm. It does not include Vincennes, but this does include the Oaktown area, and this warning is just to the south of Carlisle in Sullivan County. So if you get this notification and you're watching in Sullivan County, this does not include the city of Sullivan. This is just the far southern tip of Sullivan County, basically south of Carlisle. But this does include Oaktown. So now we officially have that tornado warning. The radar signatures have backed off. Lincoln has also gone back down with just radar indicated rotation with this storm as it slides through. So hopefully that's a sign that this storm will continue to weaken, but at any time it could pulse back up and produce another tornado. Now, the National Weather Service in Indianapolis also slowed down the speed of this storm, saying it's moving off to the east at 20 miles per hour, and that's just going to increase our threat for flash flooding, as Brady was talking about. Very heavy rain is occurring with these storms, but I'll get you an updated track as that rotation slides along the Crawford-Lawrence County line and eventually is going to cross the Wabash River here. So lots of lightning there in that core of the storm. That's where you're going to see most of the lightning. And the strongest part of that, not picking up a lot of communities on our sweep, but 5:53 for Russellville, and then Oaktown around 7:07 Eastern time. But if it maintains its track to the east, this will eventually get near the Edwardsport area. So if you're north of Bruceville in Knox County, that's where you need to be paying attention to this storm. Particularly Oaktown is going to be the area of greatest population that has this new threat crossing the Wabash River now, basically north of where Highway 550 splits from 150 up to Carlisle is where we're going to be tracking this area of rotation. So if you're watching us in Vincennes right now and have a notification of a tornado warning, this does not include you. You can see there's some light rain in the area, but at this time, most of the activity is to the north of you, but you still need to be on guard because that storm near Olney, if it tracks off to the east, that will be heading right down the Highway 50 corridor and potentially moving into the Vincennes area. Kevin and Brady, I'll send it back to you.
All right, if you're familiar with Sullivan County and Highway 48, we have reports of some damage, actually a house heavily damaged along Highway 48 at 300 South in Sullivan County. So there have been some reports of property damage and storm damage coming out of Sullivan County, and it's no wonder because of the 70-mile-an-hour wind that they have.
Yeah, and I received reports from, we've been trying to compile damage reports, and like you were saying earlier, they're incomplete.
Yeah.
These storms are still happening.
It's going to take a while.
We're getting out there trying to see what the damage is after the storms have passed, but I've heard from Crawford County, where they're Oblong area, Annapolis, Porterville area, power lines, trees down. I think Newton has received damage reports, as well as that storm that, like you were saying, the Sullivan County. Right. Same storm moving through all three of those counties, producing, again, very strong winds, possible tornado, and plenty of thunder, lightning.
And some hail.
Everett, you got an update?
Yeah, got a new warning that just came out. This is a severe thunderstorm warning, but this is for this entire complex of storms. So again, I was talking about, we're tracking these individual areas of rotation that's occurring with these storms, but there's still a surging line of storms. So this warning is going out until 7:15 Eastern time for the potential of 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and it includes several counties here. It includes eastern Vigo, northwestern Monroe, western Morgan, northeastern Knox, Owen County, Park County, north central Martin County, southern Vermilion County, Putnam, northeastern Davies, eastern Sullivan, Clay County, Greene County, south central Montgomery County, and parts of Hendricks County. So the National Weather Service is just painting this entire line of storms and indicating that there's going to be some very strong wind gusts happening with this storm all along this line, and it is moving off to the east at about 40 miles per hour. So let me put an updated track on this entire line of storms, and this is where we could see those strong wind gusts. And then within that, there's going to be those areas of rotation that we track individually. So let me draw a new track on that and slide it off to the east. Some of those, let me redo that actually, because I missed. Okay, we'll go ahead and go over to Kevin for that.
All right, yeah. While Everett's doing that, let me put a track on this. We have a couple of, we've got computers all over the place. So this is moving to the east at about 40 miles an hour. And so let me just put this on here, putting in Bloomfield at 6:55, the biggest part of the storm. Ellettsville, 7:14. Bloomington, 7:24. Franklin at 7:58. And a little bit farther to the south then, I can go and also track this storm. And let me put a track on this one for you as well. And this is that storm here moving into Davies County, and there it is there. Edwardsport, Washington, Montgomery, Lagodi, 7:15, Shoals at 7:24, and Bonds at 7:38. So I've got a track on those storms as they continue to move across the News 10 viewing area and the MyFox 10 viewing area as well. Everett?
All right, and you can see here on the storm tracker all the tornado warnings that do continue down to our southwest. Even some farther to our south in Wayne County, down around Fairfield. So we're still seeing these complexes of storms develop and move through the area. Obviously, that strong line of storms that Kevin was talking about surging through the central part, but we still have this ongoing tornado warning in Richland County, so I want to re-update for those of you watching in that part of the Wabash Valley. The rotation seemed to be more broad and not as strong as it was earlier, but we still have that tornado warning continuing until 6 o'clock. For Clay and Richland counties, including Noble to Olney toward Clermont, and then farther off to the northwest, we also have this rotation coming in from Marion County. You can see that area just to the west of Louisville, where we could be seeing some rotation. So that's what prompted that new tornado warning for Clay County, Illinois, the third storm of the day that has been producing some rotation down there in that part of the Wabash Valley. And I have been seeing that there have been reports of damage from the earlier rounds of storms that have been coming through that area. So unfortunately, you're going to see that again. And when you see these storms come through, especially in those areas that have seen some destruction from the storms, that debris is obviously going to be a lot more loose. There's going to be limbs already down and boards off of things and shingles and siding and metal sheets, stuff like that. If another storm comes through, that can more easily blow around and could become dangerous. So unfortunately, we're seeing that play out farther to the west. I want to go back here to the Oaktown area as we're seeing that rotation surge across. Not as strong as it was just a little bit earlier, but if you're in Oaktown, please take this storm seriously. You can see where those red and greens are still interacting together, and that's going to be that area of rotation that's surging towards Highway 41 right now in northern Knox County, and that has prompted that tornado warning for the northern part of Knox County until 7:15 Central Time, and then that will also include southern Sullivan County, not including the city of Sullivan, but areas just to the south of Carlisle. And then as we get over to Greene County, from Linton over toward Lyons, just west of Bloomfield, the Swiss City area, you've got a strong line of storms sliding through that part of Greene County right now. And that's likely producing 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. And that's going to be racing through central Greene County, now moving into the Patricksburg, Vandalia area and Owen County, and then extending through Center Point, Brazil. You're under severe thunderstorm warning as a thunderstorm gets ready to close in on the Highway 40 corridor, and then that will also eventually go up towards Greencastle. So pretty much everyone right now watching in the News 10 area is under the threat for some strong thunderstorms. The exception to that is a little bit to the north, Northern Park and Northern Vermilion County. You've had some rain showers, but you're dodging the worst of the severe weather at this time. So we're seeing all of that rotation continuing to slide in with these storms farther to our south. And let me actually loop this radar once, and then you can see where these thunderstorms are still developing off to the west. What we're going to hope is that as these storms move through these areas, these thunderstorms are going to work over the atmosphere and use up a lot of the energy that's available to them so that the next round isn't as severe. But there's a strong area of low pressure that's spinning pretty close to us, and that's what's allowing these storms to spin up and rotate. So we'll have to keep a close eye on them as they move eastward. Kevin and Brady, I'll talk back.
All right, Everett, we just got a message here from the Weather Service over in Indianapolis, and they're looking at some tightening of the circulation over around Clay City, just south of Clay City. What do you think, Brady?
Yeah, you can see, again, what Everett was talking about, those reds and greens interacting. When you're tracking severe weather, you're looking at a thunderstorm, you never want to see this. This means that the storm's spinning in a way that could be dangerous, especially how tight that is. That means, again, that's moving the rotation anyway, is moving a bit faster. And you can see this is heavy rain. So if this is indeed, if there would be a tornado, hopefully there is not near Clay City, you're not going to be able to see it until it's already too late. So you need to get in shelter. You don't need to wait. I've been saying this earlier that you know your instinct is to go to the window and look at that. That's one of the more dangerous things you can do. You just need to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, because you can see how bright red in front of this this area of rotation is. That's very, very heavy rain. And I'll turn on the lightning tracker. Look at that lightning in front of it. So you got thunder, lightning. It's very loud. You got all this heavy rain, and if this area of rotation would, produce a tornado, hopefully it is not, you would be too late before you would get to shelter. So just don't wait till you see it. Just get inside while you can. Most of the Wabash Valley, like Everett was saying, under an alert for severe weather. Tornado watch, all these counties in yellow until about 10 p.m. Eastern time. If you're not under an active severe thunderstorm, you can see you've had a lot of rain. Flash flooding is still going to be a concern in the path of this storm, especially south of I-70, Cumberland, Jasper, Crawford County, Effingham County. That red painted over those counties, that's a flash flood warning. That means we've had rain, it's a lot of it in a short amount of time, and the grounds are saturated. So it's going to take a while to drain in a way that could be dangerous over roadways, over low-lying areas near homes. And we've been saying this, if you don't have to travel, I think for the next couple of hours, I would just stay inside. You got a lot of hazards here. You got heavier rain, you got thunder, lightning, you got hail possibly. So just try to be safe. One of the things that I want to point out as well is, we're talking about tornadoes and funnel clouds and so on, but also another danger out of these storms is just wind. Oh, yeah. Gusty winds, which sometimes described as straight line wind, which can at times do as much damage as a small tornado. And so just because there's not a tornado headed for your house, that doesn't mean that you're not going to have gusty wind, which can knock down trees, especially when the ground is saturated. And this is one of those situations where big trees are easier to knock down than smaller trees, because big trees have more
resistance.
Yeah.
And so smaller trees bend around a little
And
bit.
all this rain
Yeah.
saturating the soil, the root
Exactly.
systems aren't going to be as strong.
That's right.
And,
And-
you got these strong winds.
Yeah. You see these trees knocked over, and the whole root ball is
Yeah.
pulled out of the
And
ground.
You're
And
talking
that's-
about straight line winds, and that's why it's important to pay attention. We do a lot of talking about the severe
Right.
tornado warnings. Well, even if you're not in a tornado warning polygon and then the box
Right.
that we're talking about, you're just under a severe storm warning, you still need to get to shelter.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, straight line winds could be a problem. Everett
Yeah.
has new information for us?
Yeah, new tornado warning just came out for that storm. Brady was talking about the rotation tightening near Clay City. So that's led to a new tornado warning for eastern Clay County and then a good part of Owen County until 7:15 Eastern time. So about another half hour on that. This is going to take it all along 246 right over toward the Spencer area. So this includes Patricksburg, Vandalia. That's where we're seeing the rotation. Just as Brady mentioned, it was near Clay City and moving to the east at 35 miles per hour. So I can go inside with this thunderstorm and show you where that is. See those brighter colors? That's likely where we're seeing some spin in the atmosphere. So if a tornado is going to happen within this thunderstorm, that's likely going to be where it happens. And I will mention that it's going to be difficult to spot when that happens. And Brady, back over to you.
You have a new tornado warning in northern Knox County, stretching into Davies County, just north of Washington, south of Odin, if you wanted to.
Oh, a couple new tornado warnings, actually.
Oh.
Another one extending for Lawrence County, Illinois. So, yeah, let's go back over here to the south and look at these warnings that just came in. So a lot of information just now coming into the Weather Center. So the first one I'll talk about is the new warning for Knox and then extending into Davies County. I can tell you right off the top, does not include Washington or Vincennes at this time, but Davies Knox until 7:15 for radar indicated rotation near Russellville. So that's that storm. It's kind of jogging a little more to the southeast. So Bruceville to Edwardsport to the south of Oaktown, all the way over toward Elnora. That's where we're seeing a new tornado warning go out until 7:15 Eastern time. And then off to the west, a new tornado warning was just issued for eastern Richland County and then most of Lawrence County until 6:30 Central Time, so that's another 40 minutes. This is for that rotation that we've been tracking through the Olney area. Again, you're seeing that notch. That's where this thunderstorm's pulling in air. Likely some rotation in the Claremont area just east of Olney. This warning does include Sumner, Bridgeport, Lawrenceville. This goes right up to Westport, right across the Wabash River from Vincennes. So Vincennes not technically under a tornado warning at this time, but we are seeing a tornado warned storm make its way through eastern Richland County, and if it continues at current speed, it will eventually slide just south of Highway 50 and could impact the city of Vincennes. So we're going to watch this closely over the next 40 minutes as this storm slides across Lawrence County. The speed on that particular thunderstorm was to the east at 45 miles per hour, so I'll draw the track for that storm so you can get an idea if you're watching it down in Lawrence County. So far, the storms have been staying to the north of you from Sumner to Bridgeport to Lawrenceville. You've got some rain in the area, but that's coming your way. And I'll go through this, but another tornado warning just popped up that we'll need to talk about. 6 o'clock Center, 6:08 Central Time Bridgeport, 6:12 Lawrenceville. And then Vincennes, if it keeps this speed and track, sliding into the city of Vincennes just before 7:30 Eastern Time this evening. So then off here to the west, still got a complex of tornado warnings. That new one's going to be for northern Richland and southern Jasper counties. So this is going to be from the Bogota area, just to the south of Newton, West Liberty area, Dundas, that part of Richland County. New tornado warning just came out for that part as we see some circulation within a storm that's just in the Ingram area once again. That's where we started off this weather coverage this evening. That warning going until 6:30 also includes that eastern part of Clay County, Illinois. So we'll look at the velocity within that particular thunderstorm. And there you can see it just to the west of Ingram, right at the Jasper-Clay County line. That'll be sliding right along the Clay, Jasper, and eventually Richland County line. So pretty much at this point, all of these storms that are popping up down to the south all have just enough spin in them that they are starting to rotate. So we will watch them very closely. We've got the warning for Clay and Owen, warnings for Knox, Sullivan, and Davies, and then Lawrence, Richland, Jasper, and Clay County. So lots to talk about here on the radar. I'll go ahead and send it back over to Kevin and Brady.
All righty, Everett, this just in. The Ileana Skywarn, which is the ham radio operators who go out and track storms and so on, they're reporting now that Sullivan County, many trees and power lines down. and multiple vehicles damaged and several houses damaged. So it's going to be cleanup time for those of you watching in Sullivan County. That damage is along State Road 48 between Shelburne and Hymera.
And that's part of that storm that traveled through Newton, Crawford County area, northern Crawford County through Sullivan County. And now you can see on our storm tracker, it's there. You're in the path of this. You can see the heavier rain. Like this red box that you see, that's a tornado warning. And it's Spencer, again, get to shelter now. You're in the path. Again, I've been talking about this. These are rain wrapped. So if there is rotation, hopefully there is no tornado on the ground.
Yeah.
But if there would be, you wouldn't be able to see it coming very easily due to the large amount of rain, thunder, lightning. That's a part of this. And you can see all the way down here to the south. Look at this. Kevin, I want you to look at this. Look at our active severe weather. Look at all those tornado warnings.
Yeah. Wow.
South. If you're in our southern counties, I don't know, it doesn't matter where you are, get to shelter now, just in case. And you see that orange color, that's a severe thunderstorm warning. That can be just as dangerous, even if you're not in one of these red boxes. And where the storms have left, you can see a flash warning is in effect for some of the, just how heavy the rain has been. And we've been receiving reports of flooded roads here in Vigo County, even where these heavy rain and even heavier rain has been to the south of Vigo County in the Sullivan County area. That flash flood warning has spilled over into our Indiana counties very recently as well. And you look, all of our counties under a tornado watch until 10 p.m. So it means conditions are favorable even after these storms start to pass through here. For a little bit longer, conditions are going to be favorable. So is there anything, Kevin, that stands out to you?
Yeah, actually, as tornado warning continue, especially in Lawrence County, Illinois, what I'm thinking is I'm not going to be surprised at all if that tornado warning in Lawrence County, Illinois is expanded to include the city of Vincennes.
Yeah, I mean,
because it's just the track of that and the way that the Weather Service has been behaving as far as warning these storms, and because of these storms having had a history of producing funnel clouds and tornadoes, I just would not be surprised at all if another part of Knox County was involved in a tornado warning here.
You can see Lawrenceville, you got this heavier rain there, but look down here to the south. Southwest, south of Sumner, that area of rain that's dipping a bit farther to the south might impact Vincennes as it travels through here, creating a dangerous situation like you were saying.
Yeah. So, Everett?
Yeah, I want to talk more about Knox County. We've got those two different warnings. Originally, we were tracking the rotation that was near the Birds area. That's right here to the east of Oaktown now. And then what prompted the new warning is to the north of Bruceville. So there's two areas of rotation within this line of storms that draw my attention. And especially you see how the colors are a little brighter to the east of Oaktown. So we've still got this tornado warning for that part of Knox County right up to State Road 58. But then we've also got new rotation down here around Bruceville, and that's what extended that tornado warning out toward the Edwardsport area. So you can see that rotation showing up. We'll check the debris tracker real fast, and we're still seeing dark reds and some of the maroon color. That's a good sign. Hopefully it stays that way, because that means radar's only detecting precipitation in those areas. But these storms are moving off to the east at about 30 miles per hour. So we'll go ahead and draw a track on that whole area from just around Oaktown to Bruceville as this slides off to the east. Edwardsport, 7:14 is when this is expected to move towards you, still around 7:23. So I mentioned Elnor earlier. You're just to the north of this warning, but that rotation near Oaktown is going to be headed towards you. This rotation's a little bit farther down to the south along Highway 57. And so that's where you're going to see that rotation. I need to go back over here. The National Weather Service Lincoln updating the warning in Lawrence County to an observed tornado. I would imagine this is going to be for radar. Yeah, radar confirmed tornado now with this cell in Lawrence County. So this is going to be our strongest area of rotation. Sumner, take shelter now. Bridgeport, Lawrenceville. If you're just south of that, along Highway 1, south central Lawrence County, right through the heart of the county, please seek shelter now. Lowest, most interior room. Radar signatures have increased to the point where they do think there's a tornado just getting ready to cross out of Richland County, move into Lawrence County as it moves off to the east. This is the storm that will be headed toward Vincennes. Kevin was talking about earlier, so pay very close attention to this storm if you are in Vincennes at this time, as this is where that rotation is. You can see those colors right here together. This is where that rotation is going to be. So it's just outside of Lawrence County now, and that storm is moving off to the east at about 40 miles per hour. So I'll put you an updated track on that so that you know when this will be headed through. Because again, if you're in Sumner, Bridgeport, Lawrenceville, you're seeing heavy rain already, but this rotation is just off to your west, getting ready to cross the county line out of Richland County. And eventually that will be putting it right through each of those populated areas. So Sumner, 6:04 Central Time, you've got about 5 minutes for that rotation makes it towards Sumner. This may be just to the south of Sumner. So if you're just south of any of these locations, seek shelter now. Bridgeport, 6:12 Central Time, Lawrenceville around 6:17, and then again, this is near Vincennes by about 7:30 Eastern Time is where we're going to track that. So this is the storm that's catching the greatest concern at this time, as we have that stronger indication that something may be happening based on our radar data, and we'll look in there, and yes, there's what they're seeing there. We were talking about we want to see the dark reds, but look right here, we've got that brighter color on our debris detector, so likely there is some tornado debris being lifted up into the atmosphere, and that is why the National Weather Service is drawing more attention to this storm. This is again just to the southwest of Sumner. So if you're immediately south of Sumner, Lawrenceville, Bridgeport, please seek shelter now. If there's a tornado happening with this storm, it may be a little more difficult to spot. That latest scan that came through did show that debris ball kind of falling apart, so we'll hope that maybe that storm is not quite as strong as it was, or that tornado only briefly touched down, but this extends down toward the Grays Corner area. So all here through the rural parts of Lawrence County, south of Highway 250. That's where you need to be seeking shelter as we watch this tornado-warned storm slide into that part of the area. Now that the radar is kind of cleaned up a little bit, you can see a lot of Clay County is no longer under a tornado warning, as is a lot of Richland County, but we're still tracking this rotation that was near Ingram, just south of Bogota. That tornado warning does continue for rotation right along the Jasper-Crawford County line. So if you're north of Olney, around West Liberty, southern part of Jasper County, of Newton, you're still under the threat for some rotating thunderstorms, but as you look off to the west, there's still more cells that are trying to spin up, and another one down there in the Fairfield area. So there's lots of activity still to track here on the Storm Tracker, and I'll send it back over to Kevin and Brady in the Weather Center.
All right, let's take a look here at the Storm Tracker as we kind of back this out a little bit. And you can see over in Illinois, things are beginning to calm down a little bit to get up to around Coles County and so on, even though there's a storm trailing through Charleston. For the most part, I don't see it quite as intense as it was earlier this afternoon, as this whole area of stormy weather seems to be moving to the east and to the south, right?
That's right, yeah. And you can see how it's bowed out a little bit, where it's starting to, trail, especially down to the southwest. I've been looking at this map here. Look at all the active severe weather alerts in our region, and believe it or not, some of these down to the southwest layer of Clay County, Flora area, tornado warnings have been allowed to expire a little bit, especially along the Crawford, Lawrence County line, but there's still some very intense storms stretching into Indiana now. That orange color, that's a severe thunderstorm warning, the red, a tornado warning. But look at all these active alerts, Kevin, just so much to keep track of here. And on top of that, you have flash flood warnings, and I don't want you to let your guard down when it comes to traveling, or maybe you're trying to travel out to check damage where these storms have already passed through. You got flash flooding to try to work around, where some of these roads might be impassable thanks to all the rain that we've received in just such a short amount of time, creating a hazardous driving condition. So you can see the strongest of this storm, maybe the most concerning, down here approaching Vincennes. You can see the rotation down here where this red and green likes to mix together. That is a bad sign. It means the storm's spinning in a way that could be dangerous. You can see northern Knox County, same situation where these reds and greens start to mix together. And I've been saying this earlier, if these are indeed tornadoes, hopefully they're not. These are radar indicated. Yeah. That you wouldn't be able to see them approaching easily. So you shouldn't really wait till you see them to take shelter, because you got so much rain, some of that darker red color on the storm tracker that's in front of this, that they're rain wrapped. So I don't want to lose sight of this one up here north, approaching Spencer, and you can see the heavier rain out ahead of this red box here, this tornado warning box. There's a lot of rain in front of that, heavier rain. It looks like the rotation has what we would call broadened a little bit, but you can see we're still the red and the green mixing together. That's just not a safe situation, and it wouldn't surprise me if maybe some debris is a part of this. Everett?
Yeah, the National Weather Service watching that storm you're just talking about more closely. They've gone ahead and updated that to radar-confirmed tornado near Patricksburg in western Owen County. As we look at the debris detector within this thunderstorm, you'll be able to see that shading there, as we've been talking about earlier. Won't pop up here for me, but that rotation is just in the Patricksburg area. Let me reset my radar so we can get a better idea of where this is. So if you are in western Owen County, in the Vandalia area, anywhere along Highway 46 west of Spencer, please seek shelter now, as the National Weather Service believes there is a tornado happening with this storm at this time. There you can see that debris signature showing up on the radar. This is what radar, anywhere that's the dark reds, as we've been saying, is what radar is estimating is precipitation. But right here, it's kind of falling apart, so hopefully that tornado has lifted, but there might have been a tornado in the Patricksburg area right here in western Owen County. So please take this storm seriously if you're in Vandalia, up toward Atkinsville, and then this will eventually be moving towards Spencer and that part of Owen County up toward Cataract, eventually toward Gosport, which again is another area that just saw tornadoes on Wednesday. So not an area that is wanting to see more rocky weather, but we did just get that updated signature there in Owen County. Back here to the south, we'll go ahead and talk about this storm once again. In Lawrence and Jasper counties, the rotation seems to have broadened out a little bit once again. Still could be seeing a little bit of debris. It's a little more messy right there on the leading edge, but that could still be some area of concern just to the south of Sumner, southeast of Sumner. As we watch this storm come out of Lawrence County again, that is also for a radar-confirmed tornado now in the western part of Lawrence County, just south of Sumner and Bridgeport. If this rotation stays on this course, this may just miss right along the Highway 50 corridor, so it may stay just south of all those population centers in Lawrence County, but still a storm to take very seriously as we watch these storms slide across the News 10 viewing area. I'll zoom this back out, and you can see a new severe thunderstorm warning has gone out for eastern Greene County, the rest of Owen County, Monroe County, and northern Lawrence County, Indiana, as that whole Boeing line of storms surges off to the east. And then that area of rotation is going to be in the Patricksburg area, closing in on Vandalia, Indiana, and that'll be sliding to the east. So this is closing in on the Bloomington area now. We also have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for Clay and Richland counties in Illinois. The tornado threat not currently there with that storm that's near Flora, but we are seeing some strong wind, and I think I saw a report earlier some nickel-sized hail with that storm west or north of Xenia. So there are still just a lot of thunderstorms that we have to be tracking as the main line pushes off to the east, but we see this additional development trailing down to the south. And at this time, the National Weather Service is most concerned with a potentially radar-confirmed tornado southeast of Sumner, and then another one just to the east of Patricksburg moving toward Vandalia, Indiana. So if you're along Highway 46 in western Owen County, please seek shelter, as well as if you are in south central Lawrence County, and pay close attention as this storm approaches Vincennes. Kevin and Brady, back to you.
All right, we're taking a look here at these storms as they tend to drift off to the south. But Brady, there's still quite a big complex of storms.
That's right.
And we're continuing to watch what could be moving into the central part of Knox County, Illinois. I just would not be surprised at all if that tornado warning was extended out of Lawrence County into Knox County, even though it looks as though the storm may have calmed down a little bit.
Yeah,
I still think it's, yeah. What do you think?
I mean, it is still trying to spin in a way that could be dangerous. The reds, the greens there, those are winds, both moving to and from the radar. And what that tells us, even if they start to mix together, that means that the storm is spinning in a way that could be dangerous. But like you said, it could stretch out into Vincennes area and create a dangerous situation for that. Vincennes is right in the path of that storm, a bit farther up northern Knox County. Knox County, you got several storms either happening or bearing down on you as we speak. It's part of again a larger complex of storms. I've been using just a bird's eye view of our area, because you can see just how dangerous a situation this is, how widespread of a situation this is. You just have a lot of active alerts, and I know it can be tough to keep track of all this. I just think no matter where you are in the Wabash Valley, make sure you're staying weather aware, and if you're in one of these orange or red boxes, just make sure you're taking shelter now. Don't wait for the storm to get to your doorstep. Just take shelter now. You can see how widespread, how much thunder, lightning, heavy rain this is. And I've been talking about this. Flash flooding is going to be a problem because these are just producing such a large amount of rain.
Yes.
And they're moving just slow enough that it's tough for drainage systems to catch up with the amount of rain. Everett, you have an update?
Yeah, I believe we may have some video right now in Newton. So we're in Jasper County. News 10 on the scene there. We were being told Morgan Street and Illinois Highway 130 in Newton is closed. The Newton Police Department is directing traffic around the flooding. According to the police, the road is closed for the road is flooded for 4 miles around the Imbra River. Conservation officers are at the scene, so we have a crew in that area trying to assess what may be some of that tornado damage, but they are encountering flooding, and as you can see, unfortunately, it doesn't look like cars are respecting some of that roadway. So if you are seeing flooding in those areas, turn around, don't drown. Looks like water's right there on the edge of the street. So be careful of that if you're out in the areas. We do have that flooding happening. A lot of those cars debating whether or not to cross through, and hopefully they don't. But there are still traffic. So again, if you come across flooded roadways, turn around, don't drown. It looks like, fortunately, not all of that roadway is flooded, but there is water ponding there, and there is flooding near the Imbra River in Newton. A new update here back in Indiana. A new tornado warning just came out for Owen County. This does include the Spencer area and Gosport. That's going to be from that storm that was producing that tornado debris signature on radar. Let me zoom this back over. The new warning is not for a confirmed tornado, so at this point they think the rotation has weakened a little bit, but I did see the National Weather Service say a spotter had talked about a tornado too in the Patricksburg area. So this storm has a history of producing a tornado in western Owen County. It's right in the Vandalia area now. New warning just went out for the Spencer area, including Gosport, the northwestern part of Monroe County, not including Bloomington or even Ellettsville, and then southwestern Morgan County until 7:45 Eastern time. So that thunderstorm is moving off to the east at about 35 miles per hour. I'll put a track on that, and you can see where this thunderstorm is headed. Again, this may stay just to the north of the city of Spencer. That rotation is right around Vandalia, Indiana, along Highway 46, Atkinsville around 711 Carp, around 721 Ramona at 723, Gosport 729, and Paragon around 739. So basically from Cataract Falls or the Cataract area down towards Spencer, that's where that new tornado warning is in effect, and that's heading into a region that just saw a confirmed tornado head through that part of Owen County last week. So unfortunately, another area getting rocked by severe weather once again. Farther to the south, I'll update you while we're analyzing radar, and the National Weather Service in Lincoln has backed off the severe thunderstorm tornado warning in Lawrence County to radar indicated rotation. So that rotation has weakened enough with this storm south of Bridgeport that there may not be a tornado on the ground now, but there is still rotation showing up as we look inside this thunderstorm near Lawrenceville and Bridgeport and points just to the south. So stay on guard if you're in Vincennes. Don't let your guard down just because the storm has briefly weakened, because we've seen that multiple times this evening. These storms will pulse up and then they'll kind of wear themselves out and then pop back up. And there we have a new tornado warning that just came out for northern Knox and northern Davies County for the circulation that's around Edwardsport right now. So we'll zoom in there, and yeah, you can see that velocity showing up very pronounced in the Edwardsport area. This is still for radar indicated rotation, but if you're in Edwardsport or now points to the east, including Elnora down toward Plainville, that's where you need to be on guard. This new warning does include Odin and runs right up to the Crane area on the Martin County line. So this new tornado warning is going to be in effect for northern Knox and Davies County until 8 o'clock Eastern time for that rotation, moving to the east at 30 miles per hour. So now that we've got some new areas under that warning, I will put a track on that particular part of the rotation. This is right in the Edwardsport area now, and this will be continuing to move eastward, heading toward Odin. So Steele 720, Cornettsville around 729, Epsom around 733, Odin 740, and then over toward Bramble or the Crane area around 750 this evening. So this is pushing now into northern Davies County, just now starting to cross the White River around Edwardsport. And you can see the lightning on this storm. Within this frame, we've got about 340 lightning strikes within the last 15 minutes. So I'll clear that out, and that's where that rotation is going to be, again, impacting from Edwardsport, points off to the east in northern Daviess County. Kevin and Brady, I will send it back over to you.
All right, I will point out that even if there is not a tornado warning where you live, if there is a severe thunderstorm warning, is issued when the wind is expected to be 58 miles an hour or higher. And so this also is damaging wind.
Yeah, I know, and it's attempting to do a sigh of relief, which is true. I mean, when we say that the rotation's weakening in a storm or tornado warning's been downgraded to severe thunderstorm warning, but even outside of a threat area for a tornado, you still have very strong winds. You have heavy rain or maybe even hail large enough that it could create a huge hazard if you're out traveling, if you're having to be outside for any reason at all, really. And you saw that live video that we had from Jasper County. So much rain in a short amount of time is creating hazardous driving conditions. So if those out trying to assess damage from earlier this evening already have their hands full, maybe trying to work their way around maybe dangerous roadways.
Yeah. Let's check out and see, call up the hail tracker, if you would, please, because we have had reports of hail being mixed in with this. Not as big as the hail was the other night, but still there is some hail. Look at that, see? Down there in where you would expect it to be, in Lawrence County, also into Knox County.
Yeah.
You see that area of rain?
I've been saying that, you know, when you look at a radar, areas where you'd see a lot of lightning on our lightning tracker collect, that's where hail likes to form, and you can see that's almost right on here. Edwardsport, like you said, just south of Oaktown, between Vincennes and Oaktown. A takeaway here is if you're driving for any reason at all, which you shouldn't, I don't think, for the next hour and a half. But if you're on 41, Oaktown and Vincennes, again, we're seeing a threat of hail in that region, and one's on the way, just passing south of Lawrenceville, maybe Vincennes, you're in the path of this as well. So. Again, just I wouldn't travel at all if you didn't have to, if you weren't necessary emergency workers here. But if you do, you're going to have to give yourself some extra time. And I would just wait until the threat has passed.
Yes, a good idea. So I'm sorry, I'm pushing buttons here. I'm not paying attention. Yeah.
Everett, do you have an update on the Edwardsport storm near Plainville, Elmora?
Yeah, the National Weather Service continues to monitor this, and they say the circulation remains very tight. So there's likely some strong rotation just to the east of Edwardsport. So this is moving toward Plainville now. Again, this is where we've got this newest tornado warning until 8 o'clock Eastern time. So you're between Elnora to Plainville to Cape Hart, the Cornettsville region, the northern part of Daviess County. This does not include Washington or Montgomery. If you're hearing us talking about Daviess County tornado warnings, this is to the north, but this is where we're seeing that little notch. Again, this is where this thunderstorm is going to be drawing in that circulation, pulling in that air and rotating, and that is where the National Weather Service is seeing the strongest indication of rotation at this time. In the Edwardsport area. It looks like the latest scan that came in did weaken that down a little bit, so we're going to hope that stays the same. But as we've been mentioning, it doesn't take much for these thunderstorms to pulse up, as they have just enough spin in the atmosphere with them today. So this is right in the White River area, Edwardsport to Plainville. That's where the immediate rotation is going to be. But if you're Elnora to Cornettsville, over toward Odin, even if you're watching in Crane, pay attention to this storm, as this is going to be headed your way, moving to the east at about 35 miles per hour. The good news is, as we look for debris, we're not seeing any of those blues or greens show up. So right now, radar's not looking at anything too suspect there, but we'll still have to continue to monitor that closely, as we definitely still see the indications on radar that within this kind of storms, we've got some rotation right there in the eastern part of Knox County in the Edwardsport area, and that's going to be pushing off to the east. Now, a new severe thunderstorm warning just came out. This is for Vincennes. This is a severe thunderstorm warning, and also includes the Washington, Montgomery area, extending all the way over toward Lagodi. This also in effect until 8 o'clock. So this is for this entire line of storms that's crossing through the area, and as this pushes off to the east, that is going to bring the potential for 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts with it, in addition to some of that rotation that's embedded farther off to the west. I don't know if the Vincennes Tower Cam, if we can pull that up, and we'll see if anything's happening down there in Vincennes. Our camera is showing those dark clouds there on the horizon. So it's still calm in Vincennes at the time. This camera is looking more to the south and southwest rather than the northwest, where that storm's going to be coming in. But you can see things starting to darken here in Vincennes on campus there. just across the Wabash River. So that's where that storm is sliding in. You're already seeing some heavy rain on the northern side of Vincennes. You've got that rotation just off to your west. The city now under a severe thunderstorm warning, but at this time, no tornado warning for the central part of Knox County. I'm going to slide this down just a little bit while we're talking about Knox County, because you know Knox County's got that little toe to it all the way down toward Mount Carmel, and you can see there's a new tornado warning for a storm just to the south of Mount Erie, northwest of Albion. That one's going to be headed toward Mount Carmel, so as we go through the next hour or so, we'll have to keep a close eye on that, as that may impact the southern end of Knox County, which is pretty rural farm ground all through here, but could get into the Decker area as we watch that storm come out of Wabash and Edwards counties. Now, farther up to the north, the tornado warning that was earlier in effect for Jasper and Richland counties, that has expired or been canceled, so no tornado warnings right now for Clay, Richland, or Jasper counties, but all of these areas are in severe thunderstorm warnings. And look here again, just off to the west of Clay County, there are more tornado warnings for Marion County, so they're still going to have to monitor that threat very closely as we see these storms continue to fire up to our west and then slide into the area. You can see all of Marion County and the Salem area under a tornado warning. So that storm also going to be tracking to the east, right back toward the Wabash Valley. So looking at the wide scope, many of us trying to calm down a little bit through the heart of the News 10 viewing area, but wherever this Boeing line of storms is coming through, it's producing at least some kind of warning, and there's still flooding threats, as we've been discussing too. So Kevin and Brady, I'll send it back to you.
That's right. Everett was saying that, you know, almost everywhere you're seeing some sort of alert or hazard for severe weather. And I want to look at the bird's eye view of our entire viewing area, Storm Tracker. Look at all these active alerts, Kevin. Look at all of them. And Everett's got his hands full over there tracking all the tornado threats. But you have severe thunderstorm threats, these orange boxes. One just got extended into even farther to the east, covering Bloomington, just south of Indy, and you know that's the direction these storms are moving. Even where you don't see the orange or red color, look at this red color painted over most of the southwestern section of the Wabash Valley under some sort of flash flood warning. You need to, again, be careful. You saw earlier, if you've been watching us for an extended period of time, we have a live reporter in Jasper County showing us where there was hazard. Look at this.
Yeah, that's Newton. This is Newton. This is a live shot by South Scott and south of East Jordan Streets.
Look how fast the water's moving.
Yeah. And look at that. See, that looks to me like, is that road washing out there a little bit?
Your bridge, on water under the bridge.
Yeah.
Now, if this water gets high enough, it could spill over that bridge, and it doesn't really take a lot of moving water like this. And you can see it spilling over into that parking lot. If you were to try to drive around that building, I mean, just a few inches of water moving like that is just going to move a vehicle, just take it away.
And the power of water is one of the most forceful powers on the planet, because water, look at that. See how that rushes through there, and that's eroding away at the structure of that little bridge there. I guess that's what that is a little bridge. So that's a very serious situation. I'm not so sure I'd be wanting to drive over that or walking over that.
Yeah, well, we've been saying, I mean, we sound a little bit like a broken record, but you need to take this advice. I wouldn't be traveling for a little bit longer yet. Let the drains try to catch up with the storm water.
Yeah.
And even though maybe the loud thunderstorm has left your area, you might still have a situation like what you're seeing live on your screen, where you know just the water's moving very fast. Maybe you're in a lower area than this, and the water's just over the roadway.
Yeah. And Audrey Geib, by the way, and Braden, the photographer, they're out there and bringing us these live pictures, and I'm sure they'll be having more to say about what's going on. Everett, tell me what's going on with you.
Yeah, we'll look back here at the Storm Team 10 Storm Tracker, back down, keeping a close eye on Vincennes. You're under a severe thunderstorm warning for the potential of 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts, but right now the tornado warning does stop at the Wabash River. They've not extended this into Indiana. But we're still seeing this little notch on our storm here just to the north of St. Francisville in the Grays Corner area. So there's still some rotation definitely evident with this storm as it gets closer and closer to the Wabash River. So we're keeping an eye on central Knox County closely. As we get over here into the Edwardsport area, that rotation has now crossed the White River. It's over toward Plainville, and at this time it's still just radar indicated rotation. The National Weather Service has indicated that it's weakened a little bit for the time being, but we've seen this happen time and time again this afternoon. It weakens, and then it can quickly pulse up produce a tornado. So as these tornado warnings come out, treat them like a tornado is on the ground, because one could form at any time, even though we don't have any reports of that happening at this moment. So this is closing in on the Interstate 69 corridor. If you're in the north central part of Davies County, that's where we're seeing that rotation move through. Odin sits right there in the northeastern section. You remain under a tornado warning. Farther off to the north, we'll get you an update over here into Owen County. That storm also showing some signs of weakening when it comes to the rotation, still producing some strong wind gusts out ahead of this, but you can see that warning has been trimmed down. Spencer no longer in it. This is just to the east of Gosport up toward Paragon. They're holding on to the warning for now, but they've noted that that threat is lowering. So from Martinsville all the way down I-69 through Bloomington, still a very strong thunderstorm. You can see it bowing out right here. So there's likely some strong wind gusts being propelled forward through the northern part of Monroe County, including down into the Bloomington region, and that extends basically all along the Interstate 69 corridor. You get over towards Cincinnati and eastern Greene County, and that's where we're still seeing likely some strong wind gusts as that storm surges off to the east. And fortunately, we're catching a break from the rain farther to the west now that that main complex of storms has moved through the region. But we still have those areas of concern farther down to the south. We'll flip the radar site back over, and just still a mess of warnings down here in the southern part of the Wabash Valley. There is an observed tornado with the storm over in Marion County, Illinois again. That will gradually make its way toward Clay County, Illinois. Right now, Clay County, Illinois just under a severe thunderstorm warning, along with a good part of Richland County, including Olney. So we are watching those storms closely. Still watching this rotating storm just to the northeast of, or northwest of Albion. That'll be moving toward Mount Carmel, so we'll have to keep an eye on the southern part of Knox County as that storm closes in. Right now, my greatest concern locally is those two areas of rotation. One in south central Lawrence County, Illinois, just to the north of St. Francisville around Gray's Corner. This is making its way toward central Knox County. No tornado warning for that part of the area yet, but we still also have that rotation up around Plainville that's moving toward Odin. So we will continue to track that rotation quickly. But again, if we can pull up the tower cam in Vincennes, we'll try this again as it looks like that storm's moving through. You can see some very heavy rain on the horizon, some low clouds hanging. A lot of times those people might report that as a funnel cloud because there's definitely a lower cloud, but a lot of times on that leading edge of thunderstorms, that's what we call a scud cloud, and you can tell the difference between that and a funnel cloud. And a scud cloud is just going to be kind of hanging there, moving along the front of the storm, not rotating as a funnel cloud would. Looks like that heavy rain's just now starting to make its way into Vincennes as the tower cam updates. Very heavy rain just on the horizon there across campus, looking closer toward downtown Vincennes. So that storm is now making its way into Knox County and going to be capable of producing some very strong wind gusts. But at this time, there is no tornado warning for the city of Vincennes, though I am noting some very weak rotation within the storm just on the southeast or southwest side of town, and then again near St. Francisville. So some strong wind gusts likely going to happen with this storm, and certainly some heavy rain. But some good news here while I'm in Knox County. They have taken the tornado warning out of the northeastern part of Knox County. Edwards, you've been lifted from that because the rotation is now into Davies County, but that warning there continues for about another 34 minutes in northern Davies County. Kevin and Brady?
Yeah, we were just looking for some hail because, again, down there in Lawrence County and Knox County over into Davies County, hail is falling.
Yeah, that's right. Storm tracker, you got our hail tracker on at this moment down to the south. Where the heaviest of the rain is, crossing, about to cross the river, south of Lawrenceville toward Vincennes. Again, any travel, bear in mind that you might run into a situation like this if you're not running into flash flooding, plenty of heavy rain, thunder, lightning. You can see hail is trying to form in some of these storms. And it usually happens right where lightning is. You can see this matches up almost perfectly where lightning likes to collect. Over here, northern Knox County, just to the east of Bruceville, approaching Edwardsport, Plainville, Davies County. Everett has a new update for us.
Yeah, tornado warning did just come out for Knox County for that storm that we were tracking. So new tornado warning does include Vincennes, Monroe City, even extends over into the Washington area. This is going to be in effect until 8:15 Eastern Time. So again, brand new tornado warning just came out. This does include the city of Vincennes, points along Highway 150 and south. So Monroe City, this extends down toward Decker, doesn't quite include the Decker area, but all of this all the way over towards I-69. So Washington, you are also now under a tornado warning. That's going to be in effect until 8:15. This is for radar indicated rotation. So at the moment, there's no confirmed reports that anything is happening with this storm. but it is moving to the east at 30 miles per hour. So let me put an updated track on that line of storms as it moves through. Again, heavy rain now falling in Vincennes, and that will only continue as this storm slides through. Vincennes moving in the next couple of minutes. You've already got the heavy rain, but there's some rotation just to the west. Wheatland around 7:54 and Washington around 8:08. So this is going to be tracking right across the central part of Knox County. If we can, we'll go ahead and take another look at our Vincennes University Tower Cam. Looks like it might be freezing up a little bit there as the storm rolls in. Likely heavy rain already falling there as that storm rolls through the Vincennes University area. So we'll take it back to the radar. And again, this new tornado warning does include Vincennes, Monroe City, Wheatland, and then over toward Washington. So this will be in effect for about another 45 minutes as we track that rotation coming across the Wabash River now and making its way into Knox County. We'll go ahead and look in to see where that rotation is. Not overly pronounced, but I am noting just a couple areas where we're seeing some rotation, and that's right around Vincennes, and then another one along the Wabash River near St. Francisville. And as we see the update scan there, we've got some brighter colors, which if anything indicates that we have some stronger wind gusts getting pushed out of that thunderstorm. So there's no guarantee at this point that there is a tornado in Knox County, but one could quickly form and move off to the east. So take this storm very seriously. Again, if you're in any of these areas through Knox County, you're now under a tornado warning until 8:15. So that includes a good part of central Knox County as we see this rotating line of storms come into the area. Lois, most interior room, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible as this storm slides into the region. And Washington, you also need to be on guard because this warning again extends over into the western part of Daviess County, including the city of Washington, basically areas right up to Interstate 69. Kevin and Brady.
One of the things we have been doing throughout the course of this afternoon and into this evening, as Storm Team 10 has been tracking these storms, we've been able to say to you that we're expecting a tornado warning to be in Knox County or in Daviess County and so on. And often when we say that, just a short time after that, one is issued. And so Storm Team 10 is a pretty good source of information ahead of that that information that's coming out of the Weather Service, kind of your first alert, because what we want to do is our brand here, our policy is as soon as we know, you'll know. And in some cases, even before we know, we'll let you know that there's a possibility.
That's right. Yeah, and you can see our storm tracker, just the latest alerts here. I like this bird's eye view because you see how widespread this is. Lawrence County, you've just been downgraded from a tornado warning as that storm moves off into Knox County. This is not an all clear for you. You can see you're still under that orange color, Lawrenceville area. That's a severe thunderstorm warning. You still got strong winds. You still have heavy rain, thunder, lightning. Just because the tornado threat of this storm has moved into Knox County does not mean you are out of the woods yet, because you can see that, again, that orange color stretching all the way to the southwest. I've been keeping an eye on the hail. You can see our storm tracker. This gray color, it might be tough to see. I'm going to zoom in here. This gray color, you know, just right around Vincennes, along the Wabash River there, north of St. Francisville, and just to the south of Edwards Shore. Basically, Knox County, this is where we are seeing the threat of hail, or at least what Storm Tracker thinks is hail, and it usually likes to form where there's a lot of thunder, lightning. So it just creates even more of a hazardous travel situation where you already have, again, the threat of a severe thunderstorm, but you have this heavy rain, stuff to see, thunder, lightning, and then obviously hail can cause a huge issue when it comes to travel. And I've turned the lightning off there. You can just see this gray color against near Odin, Daviess County, Martin County. You're in the path of this storm. We are going to continue to see the possibility for not only heavy rain, thunder, lightning, but look, a flash flood warning is in effect for basically the entire southwestern section of the Wabash Valley, Cumberland County, Effingham, Jasper, Crawford, Clay, Richland, Lawrence counties. In that red color, even some in Indiana, Sullivan County, Knox County, southern Vigo County, now spilling over to Greene County. Where there has been a strong thunderstorm, it's been moving low enough that, you know, it's just been a lot of rain in a short amount of time. creating a situation where low-lying areas, even maybe not so much low-lying areas, just how much rain we've had. We saw in the live picture in Jasper County, where you saw that fast-moving water. The thunderstorm, the strong thunderstorm is cleared out, but the severe weather threat isn't exactly over due to the water that may be blocking off roadways.
And this is not the last of the flash flood warnings, I don't suspect. I would not be surprised if these were expanded over into more in Indiana, because these storms are not letting up as far as the amount of rain they're putting down. Sometimes 2 inches of rain an hour, sometimes 3 inches of rain an hour, and heavy rain is also one of the threats out of these storms as they move through the Wabash Valley.
And it's easy for the rain to get lost with a tornado threat, with a wind threat. The rain is pretty dangerous.
Yep. Everett?
A couple new tornado warnings that we haven't mentioned yet. They're on the fringe of our area, but northeastern Monroe County, that warning continues until 7:45, so this is northeast of Bloomington, but I want to make quick mention of that. And then they issued a new one for Morgan County, Indiana, until 8. So that complex of storms still spinning as it approaches the Indianapolis metro area. Now, farther down to the south, let's get back to our primary concern, is an active tornado warning for Knox and Daviess County. You can see this area of concern from Vincennes extending over toward Wheatland, right along U.S. Highway 150. This tornado warning again continues until 8:15 Eastern time, so we've still got a ways to go for this warning to expire. The rotation crossing the state line now, and they are saying it is becoming tighter there. So we've got a stronger rotation, some strong definitely on the southwest side of Vincennes, maybe another little area of rotation. We'll see that updated scan. Definitely some bright colors showing up here on our velocity data in the Vincennes area. We'll flip this over and see if we can get a better picture, but definitely strong wind there between Highway 41 and 441. So down here in that southeastern corner of Vincennes, that's where there's likely the strongest impact from this thunderstorm at this time, and that is what prompted the tornado warning for that center part of Knox County. So that is what we're going to be keeping a very close eye on. Let me go ahead and get you an updated track as this storm moves off to the east at about 30 miles per hour, so it's not moving quickly, and that's what's leading to all those flash flood threats that we're seeing across the area. So even if the tornado doesn't happen, you're likely going to see some very strong wind and then a flood threat as this storm continues to move through. So it is in Vincennes now, eventually getting over toward Verne around 7:52, Wheatland around 8:01, Monroe City 8:02, and then eventually, if this stays on its current course, it'll get over toward Washington around 8:15 Eastern time this evening. And what I'll also note as we look at this thunderstorm, there's a couple notches kind of showing up here on radar. So we've got that rotation that's on the southwest side of Vincennes, but obviously you're seeing another one of those little tails here. So this storm may try to produce a little more rotation in the central part of Knox County near Monroe City, in addition to that rotation that's near Vincennes. So a couple areas to watch as this storm slides through the center part of Knox County. That's why if you're in any of these areas shaded in red, basically points from Decker up to the north toward Vincennes, you need to be seeking shelter. Lowest, most interior room. Don't wait for this thunderstorm to move in before you take action, because if a tornado forms, it could be wrapped within rain and very difficult to spot as it moves through the area. And in Washington, things are still pretty quiet now, but obviously that rocky weather is off to your west, so you've got a few more minutes to take precautions. If you're in a mobile home, try to get to some sturdier shelter as the storm comes through, because strong wind gusts can knock those off their foundation more easily. So a lot of focus here on Knox County, as that's where we have the strongest part of the storm. We'll go ahead and try our Vincennes University tower cam again. That storm may be knocking it off. Looks like we got an updated image at least. So very heavy rain falling on Vincennes University's campus. Looks like we've got a frozen picture there, but it has updated since our last frame. So some strong wind and rain going through the city of Vincennes at this point, and you can see those tornado warnings that continue also for northern Daviess County up around Odin. We're still tracking some rotation there that is radar indicated, and a number of tornado warnings farther off to our south. So there's still just a lot of activity showing up on the radar. I'll go ahead and put the other warnings back on and loop this. And you can see the whole spin with this system. We've got the Boeing line of storms making its way out. We've just got to get those tail of the storms out of here. Watch this activity that's redeveloping along 50. And then there's some development off to our west, but right now it is staying below severe limits. Kevin and Brady, I'll go ahead and send it back to you.
All right, Everett. Chance Westfall from the Knox County Emergency Management Association just texted that a funnel cloud tried to touch down. Didn't actually touch down, according to Chance, but tried to touch down just south of Vincennes. So there was a little funnel cloud that came out of the cloud and went back up. And you were talking about the heavy rain in Vincennes. Brady, tell us about that.
Yeah, you can see our storm tracker. We're using it to measure what the radar thinks is the precipitation rate, how much rain's falling in a certain amount of time. Now, again, this is just what radar thinks, but it gives you an idea of how heavy the rain is. And Everett was talking, he's been doing an amazing job, by the way,
yes,
tracking these potential tornadoes. You can see where he was talking about how you don't want to wait to get to shelter. You don't want to wait till you see it. Yeah, I know the instinct is to go out to the window and see if you can see anything, but you need to get inside because you may not even see it coming due to how much rain is tied to these storms. You can see radar thinks 7.5 inches rain in an hour. Now, these storms are moving, of course, so it's not dumping all that in one spot,
right,
but they're moving slow enough that it's creating flash flooding issues across the entire region. And you can see a hail tracker here on our storm tracker. The gray color may be tough to see just between Edwardsport and Washington and Davies County, Vincennes, Knox County. Maybe hail is a factor in the storm that you are dealing with at this moment. And of course, again, there's so much rain. Look at, you can tell the paths of the thunderstorms that they're taking because you can see how that flash flood warning, you can see it starting to paint over parts of Indiana as well. It wouldn't surprise me if, you know, just more of these counties.
It will expand.
Not just, you know, these sections of Knox County and Greene County and Sullivan County. I think a lot of these are going to start to see a flash flood threat over the course of these next couple of hours. And we've had live reporters in Jasper County, Illinois, showing us, you know, that's one of the counties under this flash flood warning, an area that was just, you know, the water was racing across near these roadways, across parking lots, and creating a situation that's very dangerous if you're to do any driving. So I would try to stay away from driving this evening if you don't have to. I know it's not always avoidable, but if you have to do any driving, I would try to wait for a couple of hours until it starts to calm down, until these storm drains start to catch up to the water.
Okay, one of our reporters, Parker,
yes,
has some video north of Lawrenceville.
And look at the rain still coming down.
Oh my,
Kevin.
yeah. Flooded roads and fields. That's up by birds, and farmers certainly don't want to see that.
I want to point out the ditch into the roadway. Like you can see the current of the water, and if you would try to drive through that, again, it does not take a large amount of water to create a dangerous situation when it comes to your vehicle. Just to look at that, just look at how you know, it starts to flow over the roadway like that. It doesn't, again, like I said, take a lot of water really to move a vehicle that you wouldn't think would be able to move by.
Less than a foot of water, just you know, just because your car will just pick up and just float, and people think that's not going to happen. But it does.
And there's a risk of letting your guard down.
Correct.
With the loud thunderstorm leaves. Oh, I can go out now, but you got to let these areas of water catch up. The drains catch up to the water.
Yeah. So we have a couple of things going on. First of all, we have strong wind, possible tornadoes, and heavy rain and flooding, in addition to some small hail. Everett.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and talk more about that rotation that has this tornado warning out for Knox County. The National Weather Service just updated the warning, and they're staying with radar-indicated rotation. Though, as Kevin mentioned, emergency managers are around Knox County keeping an eye on this storm, and they've seen funnel clouds lower, but they don't think they've managed to touch down and stay on the ground. So at this time, no confirmed report that a tornado is on the ground, but one could form at any time as these thunderstorms continue to move through and rotate. And that area of concern where they saw that potential touchdown was near Vincennes, or that lowering of the cloud at least. So this is the area of greatest concern. If you're in Monroe City, please seek shelter now, as this thunderstorm is going to be headed right down Highway 61 and eventually into your area. So if you're in downtown Vincennes, an hour points up to the north, it's still raining heavily there, but the threat of rotation is starting to move out of the city of Vincennes, but this will be moving into central Knox County. That warning continuing until 8:15 this evening, and again, it goes all the way over into Davies County and includes the Washington area. So the latest speed on this, it was moving to the east at 30 miles per hour. So let's put an updated track on this. This is going to be right along Highway 41 on the loop that kind of takes you on the east side of Vincennes is where that rotation has been. And as that tracks off to the east, getting into Wheatland around 8:04, Maysville around 8:13, and then eventually Washington just after 8:15. So you need to be paying close attention to this storm. Monroe City, this is going to be impacting you as well. Let me drag that track down a little bit to include Monroe City. Time of arrival for you is going to be around 8:01 Eastern Time, and Verne around 7:51. So those are the areas of impact as we see this rotation that has produced at least some funnel clouds and some lowering of the clouds. But at this time, emergency managers and storm spotters have not given official confirmation that there is a tornado on the ground, though that's definitely the area of rotation that we're watching. You can see our reds and greens coming close together along Highway 61. This is the general area where we're seeing that rotating thunderstorm. And out of all of them, they were able to get a picture of that funnel cloud as well. So if you get down here on the southern part of the storm, you may have a better chance to spot something. But again, don't take the time to do that because the rain could come out ahead of that and you'd lose sight of it. It's going to be up in these areas where it's raining very heavily while the rotation is still off to your west. And if there was going to be any small hail mixed up in the storm, this is going to be the area that experiences those impacts from the thunderstorm while the rotation tries to stay down on the southern end of that storm. Let's go back over here to Daviess County. We need to keep an eye on the Crane area. We haven't talked about this storm in a while, but this is still some rotation that we're tracking. Tornado warning continues for about the next 15 minutes up until the top of the hour for northern Daviess County. The rotation looks to stay just along and south of Odin, and this will be pushing toward Crane. So those on the naval area there probably watching this storm closely as we see this storm slide through. That rotation more broad within that part of the storm, but we are still watching that, not seeing any debris show up. So good news there, but still enough rotation that they are continuing that tornado warning for the northern part of Owen County, including the Odin area. I'll take off the lightning for a little bit. So this is making its way over toward Crane. You can see that bowing segment there, and that's often where that storm starts to pull in and is a sign that it's rotating. So that's going to be making its way into northern Martin County. So we'll keep a close eye on that storm as that particular part of rotation should stay north of Shoals and Lagodi, but we'll go into the Crane area. Let's go ahead and zoom this back out and just kind of get a wide scope of everything that's going on. We have 3 tornado warnings in effect for the News 10 viewing area at this time. One just got canceled, so there's some good news. We hit 7:45, and that warning went up for Monroe County. So the storms have pushed through Bloomington. Still some heavy rain. We still have a break in the warnings here between Bedford and Shoals, but we've got this strong storm sliding in through the Odin area. So I wouldn't be surprised that we see new warnings come out for Martin County here before long. We've got the tornado warning for northern Daviess until 8 o'clock, and then for central Knox County and western Daviess County until 8:15. And then farther off to the west, we still have a few severe thunderstorm warnings in place for Clay County, Illinois, southern Jasper County, and western Richland County. Those storms not rotating at the time, but there is still a tornado warning for Marion County, Illinois. So the National Weather Service in Lincoln will watch that closely as that crosses back into the News 10 viewing area. And you can see some additional storms have popped up here. Farther off to the west, we've got some storms around the Springfield area, and then a few more popping up just to the west of Newton, likely around Sullivan, Illinois. And all this activity going to be drifting our way. What remains to be seen is how severe that additional development can get, because obviously this line of storms that plowed through the area used up quite a bit of the energy that was in the atmosphere, but there's still enough spin around with that area of low pressure nearby that we could still see some storms rotate. So we'll have to monitor that closely. And then the other storm that I didn't mention here, but we'll have to watch, is this one down here west of Friendsville and northwest of Mount Carmel. Still enough rotation. They've got a tornado warning out for Wabash County, Illinois, and that will be heading toward that southern tip of Knox County from Decker and points to the south toward Mount Carmel. So that's the way things stand right now in the Weather Center as we watch these areas of storms come through. Again, a number of severe thunderstorm warnings still in place, including for Lawrence County around Lawrenceville. You still got very heavy rain falling. We were just seeing that video earlier from Parker from the flooding that's happening there in northern Lawrence County. So lots of heavy rain still falling in these areas that's prompted those flash flood warnings. If you can stay inside tonight, please do so, as we've got a lot of flooding off to the west, as we've seen very saturated rain-soaked areas, and we still have these pockets of storms showing up that we will have to watch closely. So Kevin, I'll go ahead and toss it back over to you.
Alrighty, Everett. Brady was talking about showing the bird's eye view, sort of the overview of where the warnings are, and you can see where the red boxes are, those are tornado warnings. And then the other colors you see are severe thunderstorm warnings. So the south part of the News 10 and My Fox 10 viewing area is actually just peppered with a lot of warnings. And these storms have been quite tall as well. Not quite as tall as they were the other day, but still, this storm is, well, more than 40,000 feet tall. And so when you get a storm anywhere from 40,000 feet to higher than that, 50,000 feet, that's a storm that's going to make some very strong wind, some hail, some heavy rain, and yes, the possibility of some funnel clouds and tornadoes. So here's a look at the Storm Team 10 storm tracker, and I put the hail tracker on there for you. And we have some areas, especially in Knox County, where there's some hail, 0.8 of an inch, the diameter for hail size there, and over in Davies County, hail 0.3 of an inch in diameter. So that's pretty significant hail. That's nothing to sneeze at, especially crops and gardens and places like that, or even your car is susceptible to bigger hail like that. So let's take a look now at the flood warnings which are in effect. These are flash flood warnings in effect at least until 10 o'clock tonight as they expand out of Illinois and then into Indiana. As I mentioned earlier, I would not be surprised if those weren't expanded even more into portions at least south of I-70 here in Indiana. Tornado watch continues until 10 o'clock tonight, and so we'll continue to monitor that. Of course, Storm Team 10 will be here as long as it takes for storms moving through the area. We've been here all afternoon. We'll be here this evening just to let you know what's going on. Everett?
A new severe thunderstorm warning just came out. I was talking about, wouldn't be surprised if Martin County would join the new severe thunderstorm warning, and it has done so along with southern Lawrence County, Indiana. This is until 8:30 Eastern time for that Boeing line of storms as it makes its way off to the east. So it's got a hazard of 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and it's moving eastward at 45 miles per hour. So basically all of Martin County at this time is now under that severe thunderstorm warning until 8:45 this evening as we watch this line of storms come through. So let me pull up that information once again so I can get the track on it. Moving to the east at 45 miles per hour, and that warning was until 8:30. Let me clarify that update there as we track this storm. This is in the Crane area now. At this time, they've not extended the tornado warning into Martin County. We will continue to monitor that, of course, as we see this storm come through. But Lagodi, you're about to see some strong wind come in. West Boggs Lake Area 2, 754. Shoals around 807. Mitchell around 831. Orleans around 837 down there in Orange County. So that's where that Boeing complex of storms is headed. That's where we're seeing the potential for 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts. I want to go back down here to Knox County briefly. A report from the emergency managers in Knox County that a funnel cloud was reported at State Road 61 and Robinson Road. So that is where we've still been seeing the rotation. No confirmation that it touched the ground, but that's where that concern is going to be over here in central Knox County, just to the west of Monroe City. So again, if you are in Monroe City, please seek shelter now. This storm is going to be moving into your area just after the 8 o'clock hour. So you've got about 10 minutes until we see more of this storm slide into Monroe City. In Washington, you're seeing very heavy rain already falling with this storm, some thunder and lightning too, but the rotation that prompted the tornado warning is still well off to your west. That core of the rotation expected to slide closer to Highway 57 and I-69, closer to 8:15 when that warning expires. So that is the latest on those warnings that are there in Knox County. Farther north, again, all the warnings have expired, so we're just down to those two tiers of tornado warnings, one for northern Davies County until the top of the hour, so that's set to expire in about 9 minutes. And then we have that other warning just to the east of Vincennes, sliding right along Highway 150 that's prompted those warnings. Back off to the west, the rotation with the storm that's over in Wabash County near Mount Carmel does appear to be a little bit weaker, so we'll hope that trend continues as that storm gets ever closer to the southern tip of Knox County. And then off to the west, we'll back this back out so you can see where those additional areas of development are. And the National Weather Service is still mentioning that we're still close enough to that area of low pressure. There's still a warm front right across this area that may have enough spin that they're going to have to monitor that closely. New tornado warning just came out. So let me talk about that. This does include northern Martin County, so that's that rotation that's been in the Odin area, and this new rotation is going to be around Crane. So a new tornado warning just was issued for Davies, Lawrence, Indiana, and Martin counties until 8:30 Eastern time for a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located northwest of Shoals. So here you can see Shoals. It's not in the warning. Lagode's not in this. This is going to be in the naval area around Crane, all within this tornado warning. And this extends over into Lawrence County, Indiana, just south of Bedford. This gets right into the Mitchell area. So again, some rotation located there right along the Davies-Martin County line. This is moving to the east at 30 miles per hour, so no confirmed reports that something's happening, but that's also going to be a rural area and a wooded area, and with the heavy rain, it would be very difficult to spot anything that does develop from this thunderstorm. So Bramble around 7:56, which is in the next couple of minutes, Indian Springs 8:10, Bryantsville around 8:32, and Mitchell 8:45. So again, this is moving through a rural part of Martin County, but if you're north of Shoals along Highway 450, most of that part of Martin County is under the tornado warning. This does not include the city of Lagodi or town of Shoals, but this storm is passing just to your north, and those two locations will have to see the impacts of some very strong wind gusts, potentially as high as 70 miles per hour, rolling in with those storms, which can do just as much damage at times as a weak tornado. And you can see like this sharp edge that's pushing out ahead. This is the wind that's jutting out ahead of that storm. So right through the West Boggs Lake area, likely just saw some very heavy rain, and that's going to be pushing through Lagodi now and eventually making its way down towards Shoals and the East Fork of the White River. So some updates there on that storm, and then of course we continue watching the storm in central Knox County. But that's the way it looks right now. I'll go ahead and send it back over to Brady and Kevin as they continue looking through more information.
All right, we just got some information here from Crawford County, Brady.
Yeah, the sheriff's reporting that a barn collapse is a full collapse with possible entrapment. And I hope that's not true. Working to get more info. Roads are blocked due to flooding. So our crew's actually trying to get video of this. You can see the video that they were able to get, and look why they're struggling to get close to birds here. You can see the heavier rain blocking off a lot of these county roads. And what really scares me is that where you can see the current of water from the ditch to the road. That, that's just so dangerous.
Yes.
And like I was saying earlier, that the threat of this storm, the loud storm leaves, and you think it's safe to get outside, and you run into hazardous roadways like this. And never try to drive. Just a little bit of that water is going to move a vehicle.
And it's not sunset time just yet, because today is the first day of summer. Yeah. And it's the longest amount of daylight all year. So the sun will be setting here in, well, a little more than an hour. Yeah. But as it does, it's going to get dark. And roads could still be flooded. And one of the things, especially with country roads like what you just saw there.
There's no street lights.
Well, there are no street lights. Yeah. And it's easy for those ditches to erode away. And then the water gets under the road. It collapses. Yeah. And the road washes out.
And due to the nature of the darkness, you're driving along, and maybe you don't notice it because of the way the water is sitting below the headlights. Maybe it creates a very dangerous situation. And we've been saying this, maybe don't travel if you don't have to this evening. I know that's not always possible, but this is probably a good evening to try to stay inside. And if you're a part of these affected areas right now, we're not done with the severe weather threat tonight, especially farther to the south. If you're in one of these sorts, get to shelter now. Don't wait. This is the tornado threat that we're seeing tonight is some of the more dangerous threat that you could have, because they're wrapped in rain. You can't see them coming, and ideally you're not waiting to see them coming anyway. But it's just, it's tough.
Yes, it is. All right, Everett.
We still have those active tornado warnings farther to our south. So this is east of Vincennes now. If you're in Vincennes, there's still heavy rain falling as that storm drops in from Lawrence County, Illinois. But the rotation has moved off to the east. It's in the Monroe City area now. The National Weather Service noting that it looks more significant on this reflectivity, or with this view of the radar that we have now, than the actual wind data. So hopefully that's a sign that that storm's weakening as it clips in closer to Davies County in the Washington area. But we still have that new tornado warning that went out for all of northern Martin County and then the southern part of Lawrence County, Indiana, as we still are tracking that rotation in the Crane area. And I think that's where we could also see some very strong wind gusts. I'm going to go ahead and zoom this back in just so I can point out that feature. Anytime that you see these storms kind of bowing out and it's a clean edge between no rain and that heavier rain, there's likely some wind propelling that thunderstorm forward. So that's why we do have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for Lagodi Lagodi, and Shoals. The rotation with this storm is up here to your north, just to the southeast of Crane now, but there's still likely going to be some very strong wind heading right into town in Lagodi, or in Shoals, so please be prepared for that. It's in the Shoals area now. You can see that heavy rain. So still some threats as we go through those heavily wooded areas, and obviously with all those trees you get those strong wind gusts, and that can knock down power lines, and it will become more difficult, especially as we approach sunset. Trees come down on power lines and across roads in this part of the Wabash Valley. Is very hilly terrain and would be very difficult. You can easily come up across those downed trees. So please keep that in mind if you're going to be traveling down here in Martin County. Be on guard. Even though that tornado warning is to your north, some strong wind gusts could cause some damage, knock down trees and power lines and things of that nature as this storm slides through. Now, we haven't been paying as much attention over here to the west, as our greatest concern is still over in Knox Davies and Martin County, but we still have some active severe thunderstorm warnings for Richland, southern Jasper, and Clay County. Generally, most of this activity looks rather disorganized compared to what we've seen earlier, but still some gusty wind possible in this area. I think a greater threat for this is going to be the heavy rain falling on top of already saturated soil. But just to our south, I want to point out that Sisney, Mount Erie, once again under tornado warning, so there's still rotation within this storm, particularly near Sisney. This should stay just south of us, but again, as it tracks off to the east, these thunderstorms will eventually hit that southern part of Knox County. So we're going to have to keep an eye on those storms as they slide just south of the immediate News 10 viewing area. And you can see some additional warnings down here south of Princeton and Mount Vernon. So just kind of a regional update on where these storms are. The greatest threat for a good part of the News 10 viewing area, fortunately trying to tame down a little bit. You can see off to the north, not a lot of activity, but I was reading a discussion from the Storm Prediction Center. They're saying the threat still continues for some of these storms to rotate. While they don't look overly impressive here on radar, there's still an area of low pressure nearby with a warm front, and that's a good recipe to get these storms to rotate. So they're going to still monitor these storms. While they don't have much lightning or look too threatening now, it's still possible that they could rotate and potentially produce a tornado. So they're still going to be monitoring that situation, as we will as well. But in the meantime, our greatest concern is down here to the south in the southern part of the News 10 viewing area, where we continue to have active warnings for the Monroe City, Wheatland, and Washington areas down here in Knox County. We'll look inside the storm with velocity. Definitely some strong wind gusts. If it's not rotating, I don't see a lot of the red interacting with this storm, but I would imagine there's some very strong wind gusts just south of Wheatland now, sliding right along Highway 150. So if you're in Washington, be prepared. That's heading in toward the west side of town as it crosses the White River there. Montgomery, you are currently not under the tornado warning. It's really close to you, but currently you are not within that tornado warning as this storm comes out of Knox County. The rotation staying to the north. So that's a look at that storm there. We've hit 8 o'clock. So that other warning for northern Davies has expired, but we continue with one until 8:30 for the northeastern corner of Davies County, northern Martin and Lawrence County, again until 8:30 for radar indicated rotation. You can see where this storm is pulling in some air here, so that rotation is going to be in the north central part around the naval area up there in northern Martin County. Where we see that storm coming through. So now that we have hit 8 o'clock on the hour, I just kind of want to zoom everything back out. If you're just now tuning in, trying to get to primetime programming, obviously we are on the air on both WTHI TV and MyFox 10, as we have been for a while this evening, as we've been tracking rotating thunderstorms, potential tornadoes, and flash flooding all across the area. And we still have active warnings ongoing at this time, though the good news is most of those warnings have dropped. The only areas that we have active warnings are down to the southeast at this time. 2 tornado warnings and then a couple severe thunderstorm warnings. So the tornado warning is in effect until 8:15 for southeastern Knox County, western Davies County from Washington over toward Monroe City. That's just for some radar indicated rotation. We've seen reports that there have been some funnel clouds produced with this storm, but no confirmation that anything's on the ground. Then we have the tornado warning until 8:30 from about Odin over through northern Martin County into the Mitchell area. That is also for radar indicated rotation, but also a severe thunderstorm warning for Davies, Martin, and Lawrence counties for the potential of 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts as this Boeing line of storms propels forward. They've just dropped northeastern Davies from that tornado warning, so some good news there. And then we've got some other severe thunderstorm warnings around Monroe Lake and points to the southeast there in that southern tip of Monroe County and northern Lawrence County. So our warnings are finally trying to trend a little bit farther off to the south, but that doesn't mean we're done with the threat and that we aren't seeing other impacts that aren't immediately from the storm. So for more on that, I'll toss it over to Chief Meteorologist Kevin Orpert and Brady Harp, who are in the Weather Center.
All right, thank you very much, Everett. And so the strongest storms, let me just show you again. The strongest storms are where we have warnings going on right now, down here in Knox and Daviess County between Wheatland and Washington. Very good storm going on down there. It's producing some hail. And then this storm that has moved into Martin County, moving off to the east at about 35 miles an hour. That is north of Shoals, but that also, Brady, is a pretty strong storm.
Yeah, look at all the thunder, lightning.
Yeah.
And you can see that heavier rain, that darker red, that gray color, possible just very, very heavy rain.
Yeah.
Maybe some hail tied to this as well. And the good news is, if there is any here, this is trying to exit. This is trying to leave to the southeast, but, it's still impacting Daviess, Martin, Knox County. So you're still under threat here. You still need to stay in shelter for a little while longer here as this tries to exit, and it's going slow enough. You look at that precipitation rate.
Yeah.
That's how much the radar thinks the rain is falling in a certain amount of time. And you can see 3 inches of rain an hour. That's the flash flooding threat that we've been seeing all night.
Yeah.
This is the reason why, and the storms are moving slow enough that the storm drains just can't catch up to the amount of rain that's happening now, and especially on these county roads where the ditches were already saturated from severe weather, multiple rounds of rain over the last couple of weeks. They're just now dealing with an even slower threat of rain here that's traveling through.
All right, let me turn these watches and warnings back on here on my radar so we can get a good idea about where they are.
And again, the good news, a lot of these are starting to trend downward, trying to expire. A lot of these cannot expire yet because they're still very threatening. Again, near Washington and Daviess County, north of Lagodi and Martin County. Thankfully on its way out. But again, if you're in Martin County, you have to do any driving again along the 31 area. You just be careful. If you don't have to do any driving tonight, this is a good night to stay inside. And you can see Vincennes, a lot of the rain starting to become a bit more ragged, trying to leave that area. This is Illinois only, Flora and only, Lawrenceville.
Yeah, those warnings have dropped off. Right, yeah.
You still probably got some heavier rain. Maybe it's still rumbling a little bit, but you can still, a lot of the warnings have started to expire.
Yeah.
A lot of these warnings are, south of our viewing area.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they're not a threat. They could, try to move their way to the northeast a little bit, but at this moment, if there's good news, is that this is trying to wind down. You see just a new severe thunderstorm warning issued for Montgomery, Lagodi area, that orange box that's trying to form there. Maybe tough to see with all the heavy rain on the radar, but again, this is till 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Just because you're not under a tornado warning doesn't mean you're still not in a very dangerous situation. In a severe thunderstorm warning, you can have very destructive winds as a part of this. You can have hail, lightning, thunder, very strong wind gusts. You can see the hazard indicated by this one is 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts possible. And this has been producing strong wind gusts as it's been moving through the southern half of the Wabash Valley for the last several hours.
All right, Everett, what are you seeing over there?
Yeah, keeping an eye on that storm that's nearing the White River now. Southeast of Wheatland, the National Weather Service has indicated that the rotation tightening up a little bit once again with this storm. So if you're in Washington, we've been talking about this tornado warning for a while now, and it's expected to get in town. You've been seeing the heavy rain. So the rotation may stay just to the south of downtown Washington, but you continue to be under that tornado warning for the next 10 minutes. It's set to expire at 8:15, and I'll be interested to see if they push this down. Based on their latest indication that rotation was tightening, I wouldn't be surprised to see one come out for the Montgomery area over toward Alfordsville in southern Daviess County, but right now the rotation is still just off to the west of the White River, so we're going to monitor that over the next few minutes and then decide if they extend that warning downstream. You're still going to see the heavy rain. Montgomery, you're seeing very heavy rain right now. You've seen some lightning in the area too, and some strong wind gusts as that storm surged over closer toward Lagodi. But the area of rotation is back here to the west, just to the southeast of Wheatland and the Maysville area. Let me turn off the lightning here so you can get kind of a better idea of where this is moving through Washington or into Daviess County now. So there's that little hook that we've always been talking about, and that's where that thunderstorm's drawing in the air, and you get that counterclockwise spin So if a tornado would to develop with this storm, it would be east of Monroe City, southeast of Wheatland, and they have been reporting some funnel clouds with this storm pretty much ever since it's been in the Vincennes area and traveled along U.S. Highway 150. So it showed some signs of weakening earlier, but they are watching that try to pulse back up a little bit. So we'll have to monitor that closely and see if they extend that warning any farther. As we look at the velocity, I'm not seeing as much of the red and the green interacting with each other on the radar scans. A little bit there near Wheatland, but there are some brighter colors showing up just to the north of the Thomas area. They're just south of Highway 150. So that is where we were likely seeing some strong wind gusts with that storm as it slides through across the White River now. And we will continue to monitor that over the next few minutes as that gets closer to the end of that warning there. Over here in Martin County, if you're in Shoals, you've seen the worst of the wind likely surge through town at this point. We'll center that back there on Martin County. So Lagodi and Shoals, the tornado warning is north of you. So if the sirens went off, the worst of the rotation is to the north of both of those locations. The rotation's still right along not interstate, but Highway 450 north of Shoals through that heavily wooded area, and that's going to be tracking near the East Fork of the White River and points to the east. So that tornado warning does include southwestern Lawrence County, Indiana until 8:30. This is south of the Bedford area, but it will get over toward Mitchell. So that's where that rotation is pushing. But all along the leading edge of this storm, we could be seeing wind gusts in excess of 60, potentially as high as 70 miles per hour going through the southern part of Martin County. So this is going to be pushing down U.S. Highway 150. French Lick is now under a severe thunderstorm warning as well, and parts of Du Bois County. So the other Weather Service offices just off to our south are monitoring this Boeing line of storms as it sinks down to the south. So I think that's going to be a greater concern, especially in that part of the Wabash Valley, because it's a very wooded area. So down trees can be a lot more common, obviously, when there's more for that wind to blow over. So we're still going to watch that rotation here around Washington. This is just right along the White River now, and we will have to see what they issue downstream of that. But hopefully we see that rotation weaken a little bit more. Anywhere else where you're seeing rain in the News 10 viewing area, if you're not in Davies, Knox, Martin, or Lawrence County, everything else is below severe limits. So still some pockets of heavy rain with these pop-up cells. They're all below severe limits, but we'll have to continue to watch those as we head into the evening hours. Kevin and Brady.
All right, let's take a look now at the Storm Team 10 Storm Tracker. And Brady, again, we've been tracking this hail because hail is also one of the threats that's coming out of these storms. So let me zoom that in for you right there. And here in Knox County, hail approaching an inch in diameter, 8/100ths of an inch or 8/10ths of an inch.
Area of the storm is moving. So, Washington, you're now, a bit more of in the path of that as well. Okay, maybe some smaller hail possible.
A little brighter spot there. Look at that. That's that's more than an inch in diameter as hail goes there. And then back over here in Martin County, we also have some hail. And
Shoals area.
Yeah, right there, just almost on top of Shoals, 6/10ths of an inch as far as hail diameter. But when you get hail almost an inch in diameter, actually beyond an inch in diameter, that can do a lot of damage. And corn now is coming up. Corn is knee high. It's almost the 4th of July, and I've noticed that the cornfields are up and so on. And this is the last thing that farmers want to see.
Not only the hail, but the rain too.
Yes.
Hail, rain, just a bad combination for these crops that are trying to come up. You can see a flash flood warning for most of the southwest.
Oh, see, look, that's been expanded now.
Oh, yeah, through Greene County.
Yes.
South of Monroe, Bloomington area.
Yep.
So, yeah, look at all this. Flash flood warnings. So a lot of this is where storms have left. And, you can't quite give the all clear when it comes to all the severe weather threats. The strong, loud storms are gone. But if you're trying to do any traveling, emergency crews maybe trying to assess damage, they're having to work around the maybe blocked off roadways with power lines and water over these roadways, maybe fast moving water due to how much rain we got in such a short amount of time here, just in one evening. Probably a lot of rain in some of these areas that could create a dangerous situation.
All right, and a tornado watch continues for a good portion of the News 10 viewing area, with the exception of Vermilion County, Illinois. That's not involved, and north of Park County. No more tornado watch in effect for you, but still everybody else watching, we have this tornado watch in effect, presumably until 10 o'clock Indiana time, 9 o'clock in Illinois time.
And it'll be interesting to see if they let some of these
Yeah.
Illinois counties expire because, maybe they're hesitating because you can see on our storm tracker, the tornado watch goes until 10 p.m. Most of the stronger storms are gone, yes, but you still have some storms.
Oh, we do, yeah.
Over the Illinois counties. So
Yeah.
you might be living with this tornado watch for the next couple of hours here while they wait for these storms to really start to weaken to a level that they feel that they're not going to be a threat through the rest of the night.
Yeah, I think they might be a little hesitant to drop the watch before I think they're just going to be hesitant just because of the fact that the storms, not only tonight, but over the past week or so have been so devastating to especially people in Illinois. They just want to make sure that there
When
really
they get
is.
the all clear,
Yeah, exactly. So Everett, let's check back in with you.
We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning for the southern part of the area. So it's this complex of storms that we're still tracking. Basically, Monroe City, Washington, Montgomery, Lagodi, and Shoals points to the south. New severe thunderstorm warning out for the next hour. It's going to be in effect until 9:15 as this whole area of storms is going to be capable of producing wind gusts in that 60 to 70 mile per hour range. So this basically just includes the rest of Daviess County, so the Alfordsville area, the southern part of Martin County, and then we'll extend this over into Knox County too, but east of Monroe City, so this doesn't include Vincennes. Again, until 9:15, we're still tracking that rotation that's now crossed the White River. It's just to the southeast of Washington. Kevin was showing the hail tracker a little bit earlier, and you can see where that hail core was, and we can kind of see that showing up on our reflectivity mode here too. So there could be some hail going into the city of Washington right now that has also led to this severe thunderstorm warning. The tornado warning is set to expire for Daviess and Knox County at 8:15, so in 2 minutes we will see if they extend this. At this time, I wouldn't be surprised if they let it drop because they said that rotation was more elevated in the thunderstorm and not impacting closer to the surface. So we'll have to watch that over the next few minutes. Then over here to the southeast, a new tornado warning did come out to our southeast, including Paoli, French Lick, Orleans, around Orange County. They've extended the tornado warning there as they watch that rotation come out of Martin County, and that's going to be pushing there into southeastern or southwestern Lawrence and then most of Orange County. So we've got the tornado warning for Martin and Lawrence County until 8:30 and then Orange until 9. So that is going to be that part of the thunderstorm. East of Shoals, you can see the rotation. Shoals sits here. This is Highway 450. The strongest wind located between Highway 50 and 450, and this is going to be pushing to the east and a little bit to the southeast. So this may stay just to the north of French Lick, but there's still going to be very strong wind gusts come out of this thunderstorm, potentially as high as 70 miles per hour. So obviously very hilly, wooded terrain through that part of the Wabash Valley. So be careful if you know anyone that's been traveling over the weekend to French Lick or parts of southern Indiana. They may encounter some of that thunderstorm activity or wind damage if those thunderstorms do produce those strong wind gusts. So we're closing in on a minute to go on this tornado warning over here in Daviess County. So we're going to hope that the fact they haven't extended this any further means that they are going to let this expire. Still some very strong wind. I think in Washington you're getting clobbered by a pretty good storm at this point with some wind gusts and potentially some hail too. But the rotation looks to have weakened a little bit. There's still some noted there, but the National Weather Service is saying it's higher up in the clouds, so it's not an immediate concern. Of course, they will continue to watch that, but now that we have hit 8:15, they did allow that tornado warning to expire when it was set to. So that's some good news there. That means our only tornado warning currently in effect for the News 10 viewing area is going to be over here in Martin County and then southwestern, I keep saying southeastern, but southwestern Lawrence County until 8:30. So 15 minutes to go, and that storm is surging out of the area. We still have the heavy rain falling across the News 10 viewing area, and there's still tornado warning storms just to our south. But based on the current trajectory of these should stay moving to the east. So all of the activity that you see down here behind me from Mount Vernon further to the south, that should be staying east or south of us, but moving east toward Evansville. So if you know anyone down there, have family going to be traveling out of the Evansville area, just let them know to stay on alert as we are still watching storms. Still some heavy rain falling in eastern Knox County, potentially a confirmed tornado just to the south of Princeton there, based on that radar signature headed toward Oakland City. So that's south of our immediate area. So at this point, our only warnings are confined down here to the southeast. So we're going to hope we continue to see that trend go our way. And I'll zoom this back over to that tornado warning. They've trimmed it down even further. So we're almost in the clear in the News 10 viewing area. But still in eastern Martin County, we've got this tornado warning for for the next 14 minutes, and that extends over toward Mitchell. This should stay south of Bedford, but is getting ready to cross over into Lawrence and Orange counties there in the southern part of the News 10 viewing area. And the rest of these, I don't have the severe thunderstorm warnings turned on this particular frame, but there are severe thunderstorm warnings until 9:15 for southern Knox, Davies, and Martin counties, as we still see that line of storms sink down to the south and produce some heavy rain. So there's the motion of these storms as they slide across the region. Many of you, especially if you're watching in Terre Haute, along the I-70 corridor, a little calmer for now. We still have some pop-up showers and storms, but the bulk of the activity pushing down to the southeast. So Kevin and Brady, I'll send it back over to you.
All right, and we do have a severe thunderstorm warning. You mentioned this, Everett, but we have it blocked out here. Severe thunderstorm warning till 9:15 for Davies and Knox and Martin counties. And one thing that I do want to point out, that coming up tonight on News 10, by Fox 10, we'll be having a 10 o'clock newscast, and we're also going to be having an 11 o'clock newscast. Because of the severity of the weather and the fact that we have storm damage and a lot of picking up to do as far as people here in the area, we want to keep you the most and best informed audience here in the entire Wabash Valley. And that's why we're doing newscasts tonight at 10 and 11.
Yeah, storm damage reports still coming in. Like you said, the severity of this, the widespread nature of this.
Right.
We've been looking at what I would call the bird's eye view of the entire viewing area, and we have several alerts active at once. So most of the Wabash Valley was dealing with severe weather at one point tonight. Now, primarily the severe weather is combined to the southeastern part of the viewing area and these counties that you see highlighted in that red color. Now, this is still something you need to pay attention to. Flash flood warnings issued for so many of our counties due to how heavy the rain was, how slow moving the storms were, and I don't want this to get lost with the strong winds, the hail threat, the lightning, the thunder. The flooding can cause real harm as well, and can create a dangerous situation when it comes to responding to some of this storm damage, where some of these roads are impassable. And I think this is still going to be a problem through the next couple of hours, even after these storms start to calm down a little bit. Because even they're more scattered, you can see the storm tracker here, a loop of the last couple of hours. You can see how slow moving they were. We still have some storms. They're much weaker, but they're still there, providing even more rain in places that don't really need more rain, especially in like Coles County, Charleston. You've already dealt with a devastating storm in the last week, and you're dealing with another one tonight down to the south. Again, some heavier rain in places that already have warnings for flash flooding.
And we've had reports of damage across the viewing area, and we're continuing to gather that information, and hopefully we'll have that for you, at least a little more organized area as far as information for you at 10 and 11 o'clock tonight. But these storms, again, this afternoon, Brady, and this evening, they've just gone through here over in Illinois, near Flora, Kinmundy, up near Neoga, and other places.
These people are already weary.
Oh, yeah.
Because they've already had to deal with such a severe storm in the recent past. And just to have another one tonight is just not a good situation.
All right, and you can see how these storms are moving out. Now, it's clearing off a little bit in Illinois. However, the tornado watch will continue until 10 o'clock. However, look at that. They've dropped it for Vermilion Park, Putnam, Owen, Greene, Clay, and Vigo County, and Sullivan counties here in Indiana. Interestingly,
that's good news.
They've not taken Edgar or Clark or Cumberland, Coles, and Douglas.
And we were talking earlier, maybe they're a little weary because you still have some development happening in Illinois. Maybe they want to make absolutely sure that these aren't going to rise to the level of severe before they let the northern counties of Illinois expire. You still have some very strong thunderstorms down to the south. They're not going to let those counties expire until those are completely out of the area. You can see the red box, again, tornado warning. And just on the very southeastern sliver of Martin County there, but it's still in our viewing area. You're still dealing with a very strong storm. Washington, even now, even though the tornado warning threat is gone at this moment, you're still under a severe thunderstorm warning. Look at the lightning. Look at the heavier rain. Again, Davies County, you're still dealing with a very serious situation because, again, just because you're not in a tornado warning does not mean you don't need to take shelter. You can see this orange box. That's a severe thunderstorm warning, and that's trying to move out, but it's moving slowly. It's providing a lot of rain, you're having the same issues that this storm has been producing
Yeah.
over the last hour.
And it's 8:21 now, and this is supposedly going on until 8:30. But you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe extended it at least for a little while,
Yeah, it's just moving so slow.
especially over in Martin County and maybe a little portion of Davies County, because this storm, as you mentioned, is moving slowly around 30 miles an hour or so. And, you know, yesterday, well, a couple of days ago, actually, the storms are moving at 50 and 60 miles an hour. That's not the case this time. They're
Yeah.
moving at 30, 35 miles an hour. I think the fastest one I saw was 40.
And
Ever?
that's why you have such a flooding threat.
Yes, yes.
Okay, what I think I will do now is we are approaching the expiration of that warning, but I've been analyzing the rotation, and the worst of the rotation is now out of the Wabash Valley. We still have that tornado warning technically for eastern Martin and Lawrence counties in Indiana until 8:30, but I'm going to kind of round robin recap the warnings that are in effect, and then as long as nothing new, we'll try to get you back to regular programming and, of course, continue to monitor this closely. So let me just zoom back in here. Kevin and Brady were talking about the areas that still have severe thunderstorm warnings for the northern part of Martin County and then Lawrence County and Davies County. That severe thunderstorm warning continues until 8:30 Eastern Time. So that's going to be the northern part of this line of storms. So as that slides to the south over the next 10 minutes, we will see conditions improve a little bit there. Farther to the south, there is a severe thunderstorm warning for southern Davies, Knox, and Martin counties until 9:15 for the storms that are from Lagodi, Shoals, Washington, points to the south. So until those get across the East Fork of the Wright River down there, we'll still have to monitor those, and they mentioned they are moving very slowly. Then the tornado warning that remains in effect until 8:30, again, the eastern sliver of Martin County, but at this point the rotation has crossed over into southwestern Lawrence County, east or south of Bedford and west of Mitchell. So we're not seeing the threat in our immediate area anymore. That's going to be pushing down toward Paoli over the next few minutes. And then as we zoom this back out, you can see the looping radar with these thunderstorms. The only other areas that we need to monitor very closely this evening, we do still have a tornado warning in effect for Wabash and Edwards counties. This is to the east of Albion, and that rotation has picked back up with that particular thunderstorm. That's going to be heading to the west or to the east, so we're going to have to watch that closely. If you're in Decker, just to the north of Patoka, that little tip of Knox County, Mount Carmel is under a tornado warning. So just across the Wabash River there, we are seeing that rotation. So we're going to have to monitor the far southern part of Knox County over the next 30 minutes or so as we see if that thunderstorm will maintain its rotation or if it weakens a little bit as it slides off to the southeast. So that's a look at the radar. Obviously, some of the stronger storms are still going farther to our south, but the good news is those are going to be staying to our south, aside from that southern tip of Knox County. And then the activity that they were talking about earlier to our northwest is not very organized on radar, but there's still just enough spin that we'll have to monitor any rotation with those thunderstorms pretty closely. So there's a look at everything that's going on. Again, that tornado warning going to expire in about 6 minutes. So hopefully we continue to see everything move out, and we will be able to get you back to some regular programming as we've been on the air for several hours at this point as these storms have moved through the Wabash Valley. So I'm going to send it back over to Kevin and Brady.
All right, we just got this into the newsroom. Sullivan County, the Sheriff's Department down there, confirms that there was a tornado touchdown near Wilfred. Wilfred in Sullivan County along Highway 48. I don't have information about anybody who was hurt or any to the extent of the damage, but we do know confirmed that a tornado did touch down near Wilfred.
I've been looking at Duke Energy outage maps, and a lot of the outages are centered in Sullivan County area. There's some stretching into Vigo County and in northern Knox County, but again, Sullivan seems to be the epicenter of some very strong wind damage as well.
All right. Okay, good. Everett, do you have anything you want to add before we wrap it up here for a little bit?
No, I think that's the majority of everything. Obviously, we're still concerned with those storms pushing to our south, but no tornado threat right now in Davies County. The rotation is broad enough there. The rotation for these tornado warnings is diving to our southeast. The only storm that I think catches my attention the most at this point is down here just to the south of Lawrence and Richland counties for a tornado warning going right up toward Mount Carmel. So I'll have to monitor that over the next half hour to 45 minutes. Hopefully that rotation weakens before it gets over to Knox County, but we'll get you back to some programming. If that warning does come out for southern Knox County, Storm Team 10, we're not going anywhere. We're going to continue to compile that information and let you know what's going on. As Kevin and Brady have been mentioning, flash flooding is still an ongoing threat as heavy rain continues to fall in some of these areas. So as we approach sunset, please turn around, don't drown if you encounter flooded roadways, as you won't know what is beneath the road or if the road is still there as you travel tonight. So that, I think, is going to do it for us here in the Weather Center. Kevin, Brady, and I all still here. We will continue to keep an eye on these storms as they come through. But in the meantime, we'll go ahead and get you back to regular programming and let you know if anything else develops.
This has been a News 10 Severe Weather Alert. We now rejoin programming already in progress.
Observations